And we live. What's good, everybody? It's Game Talk. I'm Gangster. I'm here with Blue, my boy,
Stuff. Of course. Stuff. Yes. Yes.
and Rambo.
What's going on, guys?
No Brema Rev today, I guess. Haven't heard back from Rev. Brem is doing shit with in-laws, so just us three today. But that's cool. We got this. We got this. So how's everybody doing today?
Surprisingly really good. I went for a nice fucking 10K walk today. 10,000 steps I did. Dude, fucking shit. Feel good. My day was good so far. And then I rewatched the Attack on Titan show for like the 20th time at this point.
This guy.
Dude, I just keep rewatching that trailer. Once a day, I'm gonna keep rewatching it until the season comes out.
What's good, Jack?
So how was your day, Rambo?
Going good so far. Just playing the kid, and that's about it. Been a pretty easy day.
PS5 news. What you're mentioning that? What's that about?
June 4th, I think it is. That at like 1 p.m. they're going to be doing the PS5 reveal. Or at least
What's up,
that's
Arrow?
what we all are thinking it is. It's either going to be the PS5 reveal or PS5 game. But I imagine it's going to be the reveal, like of what it looks like and stuff. I am ready for that because I need to know how much it's going to be, so that way I need to know how much to save.
How much do you need to get for? And probably gonna be like 600. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking. No, I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to 600 or 700. Actually, the PS3, I mean, at the most, I say $499, but I would say probably around $399, somewhere around that. I think they'll take the loss in order to get people to get it.
Well, that's how all consoles operate at the beginning. It always sells for a loss for the first,
Yeah, but
year
I think they're going to be willing to sell it for a larger loss, like at $399, just to get it in people's homes. Because I don't think Microsoft can compete with the price. So I mean, if they just lower the price to $399, it'll take Microsoft basically out of the game from the jump.
Yeah,
I mean,
certainly
because Microsoft hasn't announced, they haven't announced their price yet, but I would imagine it's going to be more than $399.
That's if it is $399, then that doesn't sound too bad on the low. Shit. Crap. I don't know if I was gonna get the Xbox, but $399 that doesn't sound too bad.
Why would you get the Xbox? You have a PC.
Cause I can use it for streaming services and stuff like that.
Yes.
Also, I'd probably use it
I don't know, Arrow, was the game flickering? My internet's not being too nice to me today, so we'll have to see how the stream goes.
For some reason, my headset just turned off.
It doesn't like you.
I know, right? I'm just convinced my headset just has an immense hatred for me because I'm having so many problems with it.
But, Yeah, and apparently I read something that Sony says they are not going to be detuning PS5 games, that they'll be able to be handled on a PS4.
Yeah, they actually said that they are not going to be cross-gen. So, like, the PS5 games that come out aren't going to be. They might. Some of them might still be playable on PS4.
What about the PS4 games like Spider-Man, the PS4 exclusive game? Because that's the game I really like.
No, they'll be able to be played on PS5.
Yeah. PS5. But,
well,
like, as far as like I think so. But if they said that, well, I don't know. I mean, they haven't really announced that yet. But they said that any future PS5 games won't be held back by the PS4. Like, they're not going to make it to where somebody has to make the game like for the base model of PS4 and then move it on up from there. So it's just going to be basically from the PS5 on. So I like that because they always believe in generations, not really so much, cross compatibility.
I mean, backwards compatibility is really nice, though. That's the thing.
Backwards compatibility, yes, but not forwards compatibility. Like, you should not.
Yeah.
I don't think like the PS4 should be like if God of War 2 is on PS5, I don't think that PS4 should be able to have it because I mean, it's
are they really gonna call
game.
it God of War 2?
I don't. Man, I'm just saying. And
Oh,
they might, considering the fact that they kind of just started everything over with God of War because
Yeah,
it's really hard looking up.
at least they didn't decanon God of War like with the first 3 games because I really like those games. So glad they didn't decanon them.
It's hard looking up like trophies and stuff for God of War because you always look up God of War and it pulls up all the the very first one. So you have to kind of scroll.
Can't you just say God of War 2016? Wait, right? God of War.
20, I think 2016 or 2018. Yeah, 2016, I think it was.
And wouldn't you be able to find it easily just by search up God of War 2018 or? Yeah, gangster happen.
Stream's being a bitch, but we should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I actually kind of might be getting one of the new consoles. I don't know which one though, because if it really PS4 is gonna be that cheap, then maybe.
At this point, though, if you have a PC, I mean, you're almost guaranteed just to basically, if you just wait, get every game on there.
What's up, JC?
I mean that's fair enough too, but I mean I could get a lot of use out of PS4 still. I said PS4, PS5.
There's a lot of. Well, I mean, yeah. If you're gonna buy a console, I would wait on.
I'm not gonna get them at launch because I got the PS5.
Well, no,
actually, the PS5, PS4 at launch, and I'm like, yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that again.
No, I mean, I would just say I would get the PS5 because I mean you can play all the PS4 titles, and if you want a PS5 game, you can do that as well. So I mean, there's no point in limiting yourself to just a PS4.
I mean, here's the thing. Like Sony said, they're gonna release more of their games on PC, but the problem is it's gonna be a lot of waiting, and it's not like uncertainty like which games are gonna come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a bit of uncertainty, and I mean for Xbox's credit, I can guarantee they say guarantee all games that they're making are exclusive are coming over to all platforms or whatever, or not. I should say all platforms or PC, whatever, same thing. Not same thing, but bear with me on that one. I don't know, it'd be a tough choice for me. I guess it all depends, because like hindsight, it's a bitch, ain't it? So.
Yeah. So Sony DMCA'd themselves over Last of Us 2.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah. I'm not sure if I can fully support Sony in some angle right now because they're kind of doing some stupid shit.
But I thought that shit was hilarious.
I mean, that's funny. That's just really funny more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that before, where somebody DMCA's their own shit. But yeah, like of all the things, just perfect timing, perfect what do you call it? Poetic justice. Yeah, well, no, poetic justice. You know, for the shenanigans that they've been pulling over fucking Last of Us 2. So yeah, GG Sony.
So how does everybody know that they actually DMCA'd themselves?
Because it was a Sony tweet, and the picture wasn't there, and it had a message on it that says this image has been removed due to a copyright claim. Ah, crap.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of funny.
So it is. It's hilarious. Like they didn't even whitelist their own shit from their fucking banhammer. So yeah, it's. I didn't know if it was real at first. I was like, please be real, because this is amazing. I wanted it to be real so bad, but I didn't want to say because, like, you never know with that kind of shit.
You know if the universe is gonna bite back at you for a
right?
minute. It's like, yeah.
But no, yeah, people have archives of the tweet, and yeah, it's for real. So yeah,
I don't know how you do that yourself, but it's kind of funny.
I don't either. Like, man, because I guess they're doing they've got another company that's doing a lot of the DMCAs for them, and yeah, they're doing image searches and shit like that, and they find this one and they don't look at it to see, oh no, yeah, that's a Sony one. They just, nope, that one too. So.
I mean, that's the whole thing with, like, I get what Sony, like, I don't know, like, what's the point of doing all this PR control, Sony? It's not gonna work out.
No, it's not.
Well, no, I mean, The crazy thing is if they would have just left well enough alone, the internet would have forgotten.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
the leak. I mean, because the leak was on 4chan, and also some people probably wouldn't even believed it because the thing is, 4chan leaks, you never know if they're actually true or not because they can be really janky a lot of times.
Yeah, but once they started reacting to it, it reinforced the idea that it was real.
Like, I don't know if the entire thing is real, but I would, with how Sony's going at it, I would say maybe like 50% of it's real.
Oh, at
There's
least.
definitely a portion. There's definitely a portion of it that's real, but the thing is, if they would have just left well enough alone and said, that ain't it, whatever, just moved on, like never even addressed it. Everything happened so quickly on the internet that people would have just went, oh, whatever.
Yeah, Streisand
moved on,
effect.
but yep.
And also because everyone's constantly just changing it up on the internet. Like, no one has would anyone even make a big fuss about this too if Sony didn't do all this copyright nonsense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the only thing I am mad about. Like the Last of Us 2 thing, it's whatever. Honestly.
Well, it was totally futile on their part anyway. Because okay, let's say the leaks are totally real, right? Every last bit, even the
100%.
fucking vagina cult where her fucking pussy juice is gonna fucking save the world, right? Fine, it's all fucking real. The people who are gonna buy it anyway were still gonna buy it anyway. The people who weren't gonna buy it because of this shit, you're not gonna convince them by doing all this, Sony. Like, not one person who's not going to buy it because of what was leaked is now going to buy it because you were going around DMCAing everybody and fucking doing shit like that. So you're not going to gain any of those customers back.
No, the only thing you're doing with them is reinforcing why not to buy it.
Exactly. That's the now, even if some people might have bought it, they're going to say, fuck, no, I'm not going to buy this shit after they're being assholes like this.
Yeah, that's my thing, because I kind of wanted to see The Last of Us, but I don't know if I will get it.
Well, I mean, it's still going to sell like millions upon millions upon
Yeah,
millions.
it will still sell. People saying like the game's gonna fail, you're a fool. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Well,
it's definitely
I mean, it depends on what you mean
selling
by fail.
Here's the thing.
It's
Wait,
probably
as a
going
sequel,
to fail
maybe.
in the sense of. It's probably going to fail in the sense of like projected.
Yeah, it's
sell
gonna
total.
fail. It's gonna fail just like Rise of Skywalker, quote unquote, failed. Right? Not like it's not gonna make a bunch of money, but it's not gonna make what it would have made. Or what you would have projected that like I said, Rise of Skywalker. Like Rise of Skywalker didn't fail. It made almost $1 billion, or either almost or a little over $1 billion. So that's not failing. But
Pretty sure it's $1 billion.
But a Star Wars movie of that size and all that should have made a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
sure. Like it's a failure in that sense.
I mean, it might also fail as a sequel to the first game, maybe. There's that, but I'm not. The leaks, I give them like 50-50 on the leaks for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite believe the whole vagina cult fucking that shit.
No,
But I totally believe all the social justice bullshit though. Like that's the stuff I believe. And that what proves it to me is how hard Sony is going on the leaks.
I mean, yeah. Because they're probably worried because a lot of the people who don't like the SJW stuff are probably not going to buy it.
Yeah, that was their what I see happened is that Sony knew, or Sony, Naughty Dog and all them knew that a whole bunch of people would be pissed off by this stuff. And so they wanted to keep it hidden for as long as possible so that, pre-orders and all that would be a thing. Well, somebody leaked it.
Pre-order on PlayStation, so.
Well, they stopped the pre-orders. That's the interesting part. But so the leaks happen, and all of their DMCA bullshit is nothing but an attempt for them to keep as many people as possible from seeing the leaks, right? Because every person who potentially would not want it because of the because of the leaks, every one of them that they can stop from seeing the leaks is another potential customer that they've gotten, whatever you want to call it.
Because at this point, not everyone has seen the leaks. My brother, who's not even that much of a guy who plays games all that much. Like when he plays a few games, he told me he heard about the Last of Us leaks. He's like, "Yo, shit, damn."
God damn this guy. You know what, JC? You're right. This is what I've been saying the whole time, bro. The Last of Us, JC says, Last of Us wasn't even a masterpiece these people pretend it is. It had a good story, but the controls are clunky. Dude, I'd even go farther than that, bro. I think The Last of Us is what the Call of Duty bros point to when they want to fucking look intellectual.
Like, I mean, here's the thing. I did like Last of Us story, even though I do think it gets tad overblown. Like people pretend like, oh, it's something. It's a that they get through a bunch of words that they fucking read on some Wikipedia page that they don't know what they mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I even though I still like the game, I still like the game. You know, I kind of like bag on it just a little bit. But I like the game. Like I like The Last of Us, and I was mad they killed Test early off, but that's whatever. Yeah, I don't know about saying like the controls are that bad, because I don't remember the controls being that bad. Maybe it's because it's just been a really long time since I played The Last of Us. But wait, Rambo, did you find the controls that bad in Last of Us or no? I don't think he's there.
No, I didn't. I found the controls really good. I enjoyed the hell out of the game.
It kind of felt like Uncharted. And if you don't like the Uncharted controls, you're probably not gonna like The Last of Us controls.
See, I thought the Last of Us controls were actually a little bit better than the Uncharted ones, because the Uncharted ones were just your basic controls, but this one had a lot more in depth to it, and you could do a lot more. And the game did. I mean, no, the gameplay didn't feel clunky to me. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, some parts felt clunky to me. Like some of the parts where you had to carry a giant plank of wood. Like I really didn't like those parts. I know it might sound really dumb, but it's like I just found those parts were really annoying.
Well, yeah, like when you're carrying like that big, like long wood that you're gonna be crossing over or whatever. Like that one was annoying because I mean, like that part obviously would feel clunky, but if you're carrying that in real, the way he was carrying it, it's gonna feel clunky anyway. Which I still don't understand, like why he was carrying it like up and down instead of just over his head, because that seems to be the more logical way to carry.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I have certain complaints of Last of Us, but it's definitely not a bad game by any stretch. Maybe a tad overrated in some areas, but I think it's a little facetious to say it's a bad game.
Well, it's like, I wouldn't call it a bad game. I just don't think it's nearly as amazing as a whole bunch of people say it is.
I mean, that's certainly true because people tend to overblow and stuff, but that happens all the time, anyways. You know what I mean?
I'd say it was real good for its time back in 2008, 2009. Or what was 2012 wasn't it?
I think it was 2012. Last of Us was it? Because remember I played it on the
like
PS3.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah,
it was on the PS3 like near the end of it, like 2013, I think it was.
Yeah, and then it came out in 2014 on the PS4. Yeah, I thought it was good for its time, but I mean, as far as like it being like some sort of pinnacle to beat, I think the storytelling was really the real pinnacle portion of it. I think it really told a really good story.
It told a good story, but the gameplay, it's been down for. So the gameplay wise,
yeah. Well, I mean, it has
most gameplays like that.
There's not really anything that you can do these days that hasn't been done already.
Yeah,
that's really true.
That's a real big problem. Yeah. And
as far as gameplay, I mean, so it goes down to storytelling and graphics and stuff like that. That really is where it's going to hit home. Because
certainly,
I would put it in the same category as something like, not exactly, but hear me out. Star Wars, right? Because with Star Wars,
what?
No, hang on, right? It's not like the plot of Star Wars is this some grand, amazing Shakespearean masterpiece, right?
It was Hamlet actually, but
what? Yeah, Hamlet is Shakespeare. There are other Shakespeare works though, Blue.
Oh fuck! Oh my bad. I take that back.
And there's you could say that about a whole bunch of like it's not like a whole bunch of things in Star Wars were like super innovative. Like most of the stuff in Star Wars has been done in sci-fi before, but it was like a perfect storm where everything coalesced. Where they had some groundbreaking techniques for doing the space combat and stuff. They had a real good solid even if it was a little derivative or a little cliche, they had a good story. that was well told. They had good characters, and then all these things came together and became this masterpiece. Even though if you examine each of the individual parts on their own, there's nothing really stand out that's like, oh my, except for maybe the space combat and stuff. Like that was the real groundbreaking stuff. Everything else was just kind of well done. And I think Last of Us is in that same vein where nothing was really like masterful or amazing, but it was all really good, and it came together in a well done way. And so then people just congregated to it.
Ate it up.
Yeah, same way they ate up Star Wars. Like I said, even though the story is, the story is super cliche, but it's a well told story. And the characters, like there's nothing amazing about the characters except that they're well written. Right? It's not like Darth Vader as a character has never really been done before. There's thousands of examples of a Darth Vader-like character. Or Luke Skywalker, or any of that stuff, or even the main plot. Good God, an evil empire is threatening the safety of whatever.
I think really what it is, like with even Star Wars, is that you had movies back then that had like a really great hero. Then you also had movies that had like a really great like anti-hero.
Sure.
And then like Star Wars kind of put all those good things together back then. Whereas like the same thing with like games, like you have a really good. If you look at like Far Cry, most people talk about like the antagonist in it, not the protagonist.
Right.
So you have a great, you have a great antagonist in these games, but the protagonist is like whatever.
Just kind of generic.
But Last of Us was able to put a good bad guy together and a good guy together, a good the team, and then turn it into like a whole complete game at that time.
Right, with an interesting story and good like non-combat mechanics. Like it's not that any one particular element of it was amazing, but it came together in a way that was amazing.
And then the little things like in the game, like where if you were standing still, like in most games, Ellie would talk to Joel, and they would have a conversation, and you would learn a little bit more about the situation rather than just standing there looking. In regular games where like Far Cry, if you just stand there, nothing happens. Things just go on around you.
To be fair though, Far Cry hasn't been good since 3, so
5 is all right.
Well, it's just a generic cut and paste game. Like you take
what made nothing about Far Cry 3 made it stand out except for the villain.
Yeah.
I thought the story and the setting.
Story was all right, but it was very generic. Like, come on.
I thought the setting was great though for Far Cry 3.
Sure, but again, nothing amazing. Nothing like, oh my God, this has never been done before. Like, what an interesting concept. Nobody was saying what an interesting concept about Far Cry 3's, world or anything like that. It was just kind of generic, except the villain was just fucking amazing.
Yeah, I can agree with you somewhat there. I just think Far Cry 3 has more quality to it than like the other, like 4 and 5. And Primal, we do not talk about Primal here. Fucking that shit was a disaster. It's like imagine Far Cry but worse and any of the charm.
Yeah, Farscape's antagonist was the UN, Peacekeepers. I have not actually watched Farscape, JC.
The UN or Peacekeepers.
I know a little about the story, and I'm pretty sure he's pretty much right. But I haven't actually watched that show, so. Yeah, I don't know. And here's the thing about Last of Us, right? Like I said, not a whole lot that was unbelievably amazing about that game. And so once they ditch the few things they had for it and try and push a bunch of social justice nonsense or whatever, that's just it's gonna kill it, man.
I kind of just, my whole worry is like, because I'm gonna wait and see on Last of Us 2, and I'm not even sure I'm gonna buy it. But so definitely gonna be a wait and see for me. Because like I don't know how bad is a new character gonna be, because like Joel and Ellie are like the perfect two, and then like you can't really just switch them out in their game technically.
I don't know.
Like also It all depends on execution, but execution-wise, it looks like at least half the leak to me seems like you're like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Ah,
It's definitely a wait and see. Last of
That's
Us
gonna be
2.
the hard part. It's because I mean, just like any other, like if you go to any of these other iconic movies, where they had a set character and everybody's kind of like associated that character with that, that role, and they swapped them out with somebody else.
Yep.
And it typically didn't do very well. So I mean, it all depends on how. Obviously, I haven't played or whatever, but it all really depends on how Naughty Dog is actually gonna carry that out.
It's one of the
If they
reasons
treat
why
Joel-
I
If
didn't
they
like.
treat Joel like trash, and basically like every other feminist agenda thing where they trash the male, it's not gonna go over well at
Nope.
all.
Especially because, like, I love. I think it was Mahler that was talking about this when he was talking about fucking Roundhead Ryan and how he was trying to subvert expectations the wrong way in Last Jedi, where you can't have character swaps unless you've built up the character you're swapping to, and you need almost equal build up to the character that you start with. And the example he gives is spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it yet by now, Jesus, The Departed, right? Where in The Departed, you kind of follow two guys equally. It's I think it's Matt Damon is one, and then the other is Leo DiCaprio, right? And Leo DiCaprio is the good guy. He's the undercover cop playing a bad guy, and then Matt Damon is the regular cop who's secretly an informant for the mob. And so then when they kill off Leo's character in a very, like you think everything's going to be all right. He's captured the bad guy, but then bam, he gets his head blown off, and it's basically then the narrative switches over to follow the other guy. It might be surprising, and you might not like it, but at least you can follow it because the other guy has been given equal amounts of screen time for you to follow him. And that's how you have to do switchovers like that. Like, it'd be fine to switch over to just Ellie, because Ellie and Joel have been in this thing the whole time. But if the leaks are true, exactly. But if the leaks are true and you play half the game as this other character that we know nothing the fuck about and we've never heard anything about, we've never seen her do anything, and now all of a sudden here she is showing up, and she's gonna be half our game time. It's like, who's gonna care about that chick? We don't care about her. We care about Ellie and Joel.
No, they're gonna have to kind of work a way to where Joel passes the torch to Ellie, and then Ellie is then now mentoring or whatever. Obviously not. It's not gonna be a mentor situation, but to where it's gonna be the same kind of dynamic that Ellie and Joel had, but try to force it into another area. But they're gonna have to do it in a constructive way in order to not jar every single fan of the series.
Right. And I don't think there's a way to do that in the second game. If you wanted to do this, you would have had to start it in the first game.
Or you would have had to, you would have had to build it up in the second game, and the third game would have made it, the full-on thing. But, I don't know. It really all depends on how they do. They are really good with storytelling.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. Uncharted.
I can tell you, though, Uncharted 4... I loved Uncharted 4, but I think it suffered a great deal by not having Amy Hennig at the helm.
Oh, it definitely did, dude. Like Uncharted 4, I'll be honest, I don't even think about. I don't really like Uncharted 4 that much. I think I got super into it because it was Nathan Drake's final story. I think that's more why
I loved the game.
It.
I hated the portions where it was so fucking unrealistic. Because originally the girl that you were fighting was originally supposed to be a guy, one of the warlords, which would have made perfect sense. I would not have had a problem with Drake fighting a guy and getting his ass beat, but just some random frail woman, that I've never heard of or seen. It just come on,
it takes you out. You lose all investment in the story because you're not invested in that character.
And you have Lost Legacy where. Dude,
luckily, though,
is the worst Uncharted.
Well, Lost Legacy was okay. It didn't feel like. It felt like just more of a one-off of the Uncharted world. But I mean, it didn't feel like they were trying to like replace Drake with them. And I mean, I didn't mind playing it. The story wasn't as great, but I mean, then again, it wasn't built as a standalone game like in mind. It was built as a DLC that turned into a standalone game. But
Right.
I mean, it's gonna have to be. We're gonna have to see like what they do story wise with these games, without like one of the great storytellers of Amy Hennig. So, and I really hope that she gets behind a team and can get something done because I mean she deserves a shot at a good team.
Wasn't she gonna be behind Star Wars, but then they canned that shit?
Yep. After they got like, I think they were like 3/4 done with the game and then they canned it because nobody wanted a single player Star Wars game.
Yeah,
And
nobody wanted it.
Then they go out and release a damn single player Star Wars game.
Right, and it's one of
like,
the most successful
what?
games of the year. Like, God, you guys, I swear to God.
Good old EA, man. Good old
Right.
EA.
What are you gonna do?
Honestly, just have her do Titanfall 3 EA, please.
Yes, fucking A. I'd be happy with that. Yeah,
I
that'd
don't
be
know.
awesome.
I really don't want her. I really don't want her working for EA at all.
I don't know what really the options at, dude.
I'm not. EA is just such a damn.
I would not be
rough
sad
damn
if she
company.
just started her own damn studio.
Me too. I would definitely buy an indie game from her and let her build her portfolio and then turn into a big studio. Yeah, most definitely. Or let her go work like Insomniac. Like if they're doing the Spider-Man series now, could you imagine her writing a Spider-Man game?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, the Spider-Man, the game that came out for the PS4 is actually, I think, one of my favorite Spider-Man games to date. I think it's the best Spider-Man game story-wise, but gameplay-wise, I think it's basically 2, but better.
Yeah, man. I mean, I agree. I love Spider-Man, but I just couldn't imagine like what the Spider-Man sequel would be with Amy Hennig writing the. Because she wrote some really compelling stories with Uncharted 1 to 3.
Yeah, some good stuff. I'll take a sequel.
It's
Sony,
unfortunate.
just make a sequel. I said sequel. Sony, make a sequel to Spider-Man PS4, but give it a better name than Spider-Man PS4.
You know they're going to be making a sequel. Like they got the rights to it. So, and they bought Insomniac. So I mean, it's definitely happening. I mean the one thing though you can look forward to with the PS5 is a Spider-Man sequel, a God of War sequel, a Days Gone sequel, I mean, there's so many of them. Like it's gonna be a hell of a time, and I can't wait. I honestly can't wait to see what like Sony's engines do with their proprietary software. Like that they actually know really well. So, because look what they were able to push out of like a base PS4, like what it was able to look like. So you could imagine them with that much power on a PS5 and honing it all in on that's their own private platform. I mean, it's going to look amazing. Their games are going to should be. I mean, very well.
They should. Yeah, they better.
Yeah, could you imagine God of War, like what God of War looked like on the PS4? I imagine what God of War 2 will look like with the same team behind it doing it on a PS5 with that power.
For me,
like that.
I would just take a God of War at 60 frames per second. Like that's just me though.
Yeah, but that should be the easy part though. That's the thing.
Like honestly, like I know like everyone the game will look amazing regardless. But for me, if you get like a game that looks decent but 60 frames, you got my soul, dude.
Well, I think they have enough power. I mean, to where they could still make the game look even amazing, and make it 60 frames.
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
There's enough power there.
Yes.
Now it depends on again. I mean, most developers though, especially in big studios, whether it be on the PC or whether it be on the they make the consoles, they go after looks more than they go after frames. Now, of course, on the computer, you can always adjust the frames, but like their base game is mainly set for all like just the looks, because that's what's going to capture your eye. I mean, if you go to, it's like going to McDonald's and just smelling. Like I like to be able to smell that, like, and be able to pick your food by the smell. I mean, it's going to be done by looks, and that's the reason why there's pictures on the menu now, because everybody goes after what they can see. They're like their eye candy, and so I mean that's what people are drawn to. So I mean, I get the reason why they can go for 30 frames, and make it look really super sharp. But I mean, I get the want for 60 frames as well. So I mean, hopefully at least they put an option in there for
I just
like
hope it's an
performance
option.
mode.
'Cause
Well, and I
really
think
like
I
smooth
think they've got the
gameplay.
power for it now. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Before they didn't have the power. Now they do. There's
No.
no excuse.
There shouldn't
So-
be, but again, I mean, if they use all that power for their looks, I mean, their games are going to look awfully damn amazing. But they will. I mean, they will be hindered by the 30 frames. But I mean, I still say they're with Sony having that boost mode in there, and then a lot of the games came out like with they had when they were updated later, like with a performance mode. I think you'll see that in most games, like with
Yeah.
performance mode.
I
like,
really
where
hope
you
so.
can do it 60 frames. I think you'll see
Because
it.
God of War had a performance mode. That's the thing.
I think you'll see it. And Arrow, I don't see a new Uncharted at all.
Yeah, I think they kind of milked that franchise. I mean, that's never a.
Uncharted's done. Uncharted's done.
They
Like,
could,
please.
dude. Don't say that.
Don't
You're gonna
count it
jinx
out.
it, bro. Yeah, like, cause there can
I don't
always
wanna-
do more, man.
I
mean,
don't want
'cause
to see Uncharted.
Sony does have an unnamed studio in what's it called, in the whatever part of California that Naughty Dog's in. And it's been rumored that they have now taken the Naughty Dog, the Uncharted franchise from Naughty Dog and given it to the studio, and that's slowly what they're going to be working on. Now, whether or not that's true or not, I mean, nobody's ever, been able to confirm or whatever, but that was the rumor a long time ago. Whenever they created this, they incorporated a name of a studio or whatever, but they never really announced anything. So I mean, everybody kind of did undercover digging and found all this stuff out. So it's kind of, I wouldn't count Uncharted out. I mean, it might be a different type of story, but I really wouldn't count it out. It might be his daughter. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they brought Nathan Drake back in like in the beginning and had him going treasure hunting or whatever with his daughter, and then his daughter maybe taking over. But I mean, just to jump right back into an Uncharted game with his daughter as the helm, it would be kind of jarring to me.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
that
thing is, I
could
don't
be
want a
real
sequel.
interesting. Like, make it like where the first half of it is full of flashbacks, where the daughter is with him, and you get some plot point that explains why she's been gone so long, and give some villain that she's got an antipathy towards or something like that, and then the rest of the game is her taking up the mantle. Like, that could totally work.
Yeah, I mean, it would turn into. I mean, I would think it would turn into a Laura Croft type thing.
Sure.
But I think they could separate themselves from the Tomb Raider franchise because it's not
Yeah, I mean, Tomb Raider
a
has
daughter
been
that has
doing this
daddy
long.
issues. Yeah,
Right.
it's not a daughter that has daddy issues. I mean, it's somebody that had spent time with their dad and got taught by her dad and stuff like that. So they could actually bring in some sort of pass the torch, correctly. And like how we got Nathan Drake's backstory in Uncharted 3, I think, and Uncharted 4, to where we learned how, like, we saw him as a little boy, and then we saw him as like a teenager type thing with his brother in 4. But it kind of gave a little bit more history as to why his brother was there and who his brother was, and it let us actually understand why this other guy was just happened to be there. So I mean, they could totally do it with his daughter.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just hire Amy Hennig at that studio
Right.
and let her head it up, man. I'm all for it, dude. I'd buy Uncharted 5 in a second.
God, and what a microcosm for fucking social justice politics with her, right? Where a fucking dude forces her out and fucking shittily completes her original vision of a story, all while trying to claim that he's the champion of fucking women in video games. Like, God, the whole thing is just sleazy
And then
as
not
fuck.
to mention, then turns around and gets her own damn studio and takes the IP away from Naughty Dog and puts it into her own hands. Yeah, that would be. Oh, the circle of justice would be like perfect on that.
Oh, it'd be great. Poetic justice at its fucking finest.
Oh yeah, I would be all over that game just for the sheer fact of what it represented.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Like
Because I just want Sony 60 frames, make it happen. That's all I want.
I said, I'm pretty
Visuals are
sure they
great.
will, bro. There's no excuse this time. Like, because here's the thing, right?
I think you've had this whole generation. You've had everybody tweeting at them, like Sony and Microsoft, about 60 frames per second. So I don't think that they have a hard time knowing what people are wanting. So I now that I mean with the power that's coming out in these new consoles, I mean them being a mid-range PC, mid to low high.
High mid,
I
I
don't
think,
see,
is the
yeah. I don't see any reason why like they can't get that.
And here's the thing, right? There's a in every generation, everything, there's a point of diminishing returns for graphical quality, right? Like there's only so many fucking
Yeah.
oh shit.
I'll be right back. By the way, I'll be back in a sec.
There's only so many effects and particle effects and fucking polygons and shit that you can push with the technology we have at the time. It's not like you work your way up the PC hardware, and for a long time, especially into the mid-range, you can start enabling more graphical intensive processes like depth of field and higher amounts of anti-aliasing. But there gets a point right at the top of the mid-range where it starts like there's just no more that you can put. You can't push any larger. There's no more. There's no higher. Like 4K is as high as you get for pixel count, and there's only so big you can make the textures, and there's only so much of that shit you can put in before all the gains you get are now frame rate gains. And I think they're right at that point where even if they wanted to push nothing but graphical quality, they'd reach a limit where it's like, okay, we can't make this look any prettier, and we've still got power to spare, so we might as well just make sure that it runs smooth at 60 frames. And I think that's what they're going to go for, especially because the community has been real harsh on them about not being able to hit even a steady 30 sometimes, but at the very least a steady 60. So
yeah, that's the frustrating part when they do cap it at 30 or whatever, and then it's still dipping down into the 15s and stuff. I'm like, there's no point, there's no reason for it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at that point, just dumb down some of the graphics, whatever. Like, utilize some of that power to basically get that frames to where, at least where if you're gonna go 30, it's a steady 30. But
yeah, it better be 30 always. Yeah.
I think the only way that you could justify a 30 frame game is where if they did that tech demo at 4K and through the entirety of the game at that level of detail.
Yeah.
That would require probably a 30 frame game, but at the same time, nobody's going to do that because I mean the cost of doing that would be way too high.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't imagine like a 30-hour game like say Last of Us or God of War, or whatever, being in that level of detail through the entirety.
Right.
Like it would be insane. It'd be nice, but I mean, I see them more making it look really good. And then using the leftover power for the frames, but
yep.
And Arrow, I don't think 4K will be a selling point. I mean,
it will and it won't. I mean, just like now, it's a selling point as in it can do it, not like every game's going to be 4K and it,
And plus, I mean, unless you're mandating everything be 4K, you can't really advertise it like that. So I mean, it's going to be 4K capable,
right?
And so, and again, I mean, everybody's basically almost every TV you buy these days is 4K. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really going to be a selling point anymore because, I mean, as long as it has like the HDMI 1 point, whatever it is, on there or 2 point, whatever it is, as long as it has all that capabilities, I think that's going to be just a regular,
feature.
A normal, yeah, I mean, it's going to be like a nomenclature that everybody's used to by now.
Well, that's the thing. The only reason it was a selling point before was because it was new.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a selling point because every game was 4K 30 and it looked, fucking amazing and everybody had a 4K TV. No, they didn't. They pushed it because that was the new thing. Oh, look, this can do 4K, and 4K is the new,
I mean, my TV, I was, whenever we moved last, I was playing around with my daughter, and she had like, it was like a little high bounce ball or whatever, and I just kind of tossed it at her, but it hit my screen, And like when I turned my TV on, it like the whole top half was gone. So I went out and bought a cheap 4K TV, like a Vizio. He was able to get like a 45-inch 4K HDR TV for like $237.
Yeah.
So I mean, the price level of 4K TVs is almost so cheap that everybody can have one if that goes out and buys a new TV now. So I don't see that 4K being really a pushing point anymore. Just maybe having a 4K DVD player,
Sure.
to where you don't have to have a special DVD player for movies. But I mean, I think that might be better. But from what I understand, it's actually going to have a 4K Blu-ray in it. So
Yeah, which makes sense.
I don't understand why the Pro didn't go with one.
Right.
Like it makes no sense.
Yep. But you know, like we said, we won't know. We can only speculate. But there's certain things that just they wouldn't make sense to do it otherwise. But you never know, right? Because
Yeah,
they fuck shit up all the time.
I'm more interested to see the shape of the console.
Yeah.
After seeing Microsoft going with the PC,
tower.
the
Yeah.
PC tower look, I'm really interested to see what if PlayStation's going to stick with the more console look, and if they do, how the hell are they going to cool it?
Yeah.
And then also if they go with the tower, because if they go with the little mini tower, that's going to be pretty cool having like the Xbox and the PlayStation next to each other, and they're both little mini towers. I mean,
Makes sense too, because it's a lot easier to cool it that way. You can just have beefy
yeah,
fans top and bottom.
and you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, to me, like right now, the PS4 Pro, I like the look of it, but if you keep it inside anything, like it does not
Yeah,
take
it
long
kills it.
for like
No,
this heat coming out of like that, because like there's only so many vents you can put on the side of the thing, and if you open it up, it's got that 40 millimeter fan on there, I think.
Yeah,
is,
the blower fan.
Yeah, and that's not enough to disperse as much heat that's going to be coming out of this new hardware that's going to be in there.
Oh, no way. Yeah, even if it's down-tuned, even if it's not, CPU chip quality and shit like that, it's still going to pump out a lot of fucking heat. I mean,
Yeah,
I will talk shit
you're
about
gonna have
Jaguar, but one thing it was pretty power efficient.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. The CPU wasn't really so much the problem on the PS4 or the Xbox One. It was more the GPU power that they were pushing so much through that was causing the heat. But neither one of them had the original Xbox One, I guess, had a lot of cooling area. Like it was just nothing but vents. But then they started form factoring it down to smaller and smaller, and like it just kept getting worse and worse as far as heat.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, that's the thing, cooling, man. And this is
I really think
the technology. Back in the day when you just had like Nintendos and PS2s and shit, that stuff was so far behind PCs that cooling it was easy because you were using fucking just minuscule amounts of power compared to what a PC would use. But now we're getting to the point where they literally are PC parts, and they're not low-end PC parts either. And that shit takes power.
No, but they're still going to be in the APU chip, so that's what. I don't know.
It is,
that's what
but the
is.
GPU part of that APU is way more powerful than the standard APU is. Because I think the standard Navi APU chip is only like 8 teraflops or something like that. It's not very powerful, and it makes it like APUs weren't really designed for high-end or even mid-range stuff. But this is a specially designed one that was built way more for power than the other ones. So that's going to take a lot more power. And Navi's not exactly power greedy, but it's not exactly all that efficient either. So we'll see. I'd be interested to know what the wall pull for a PS4 or PS5 or an Xbox, whatever the fuck, Scorpion X. I don't care what the fuck it's called now. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what the wall pull is at max power for these consoles. I would not be surprised if it was somewhere in the realm of like 300, 350 watts.
Oh yeah.
And that's a low end estimate. Like I could easily see it being more like 450 too.
And I think depending on how the cooling situation is, I mean, it's going to seem to draw more power that way, just simply because of the heat dispersion.
Right.
So if they can, I mean, I think Xbox went with the way that they can cool it better, but I mean, it still remains to be seen, like in practice, whether or not it actually works right.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that PlayStation goes with the way that you can cool it as good as like what the Xbox does.
Yes, sir.
There's somebody joking around, I guess, because somebody looted a GameStop. And when they ran through there with the video, they left all the Xbox games.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, damn, even looters don't want your Xbox games.
Tough crowd. But yeah, so have you heard about the thing with Skyrim Grandma?
With the what now?
Skyrim.
Oh, the Skyrim
Grandma.
Yeah. I heard
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So Skyrim Grandma came out on a video or stream, I can't remember which, and was saying that she was going to scale back her content for, you know, whatever reason. And then Video Game 247, of course, the journalistic pride.
Pinnacle of journalism.
Exactly. Video Games 247 says that, oh, it's because of online hate mobs. And she actually responded to him on Twitter and said, no, this ain't right. It's for completely other reasons, you know.
Just health reasons, yeah.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, you guys should delete your article. And, you know, of course, it's nothing but, you know, it's gamer gators and it's fucking toxic masculine gamers and, oh, dude.
On what? What did she hit it on? She was on here. Am I talking?
What's up? Oh.
Oh, my daughter, like, jumped on the couch, but then, like, started crying like she hit her head, but I can't, like, the couch is soft, so I don't really know what she actually hit her head on. It's just confusing me, but it's bruising.
Kids, right?
Oh yeah, 3-year-olds, especially whenever they get all, they're all rambunctious.
Yes, JC.
Hey, we
Get the fuck over it already. Yeah, dude, really. It's getting ridiculous at this point. Like, you gotta stop trying to blame gamers for literally fucking everything.
It's the same thing as, like, even after, like, I mean, I'm not going to get into, like, politics or whatever, but just a quick little thing, like, all this crap about Russia, and then it was disproven, but then they still are putting out articles going, Putin is behind it. Like, what? Like, are y'all still trying to push this tired narrative?
Yep.
It's the same thing with these games, the same... Instead of Russia for the politics, the political writers for the gaming area as pushing the Gamergate crap. So
you are not wrong. Yep, just a bunch of bullshit.
yeah, I'm just glad that she actually called him out, like, live on Twitter. Like, it was like,
oh yeah,
no, we ain't having this.
Yeah, props to her, man. You can't let these fuckers get away with it. I mean, they'll never retract it, but they probably won't. I don't know about never, but most likely they won't.
Down and even turn around and say that the Skyrim Grandma is actually wrong. That they actually know for a fact that. Am I going?
Yeah, they know better than her.
Yeah. Like, they know exactly the reason why. Not her. I mean, how would she know? You know, of all people.
Right. Yeah, so obviously she's internalizing her toxic patriarchy and fucking making excuses for, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Or they'll dig up a thing and they'll say she was part of the Gamergate movement.
Oh, man, that'll be great.
Yeah, that would go over real well with...
Yeah, JC, it's happening, man. It is, dude. Kotaku, Polygon, Vox, all of them, man. They're losing people. They're firing people. They're laying them off. Like, it's I think it's glorious. But
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, they're getting their comeuppance. I mean, when Jason Schreier left, I don't really care for Jason Schreier. I think he's just as bad as all the other ones, but he did at least write some decent articles.
sure.
But I think that in the end, once he left Kotaku, like Kotaku's going downhill, like
yeah.
all these online journalism is dead because they were all running off of venture capital.
Right.
They weren't running off of actual investment, and it's killing them now because I think a lot of people are pulling out of their investment.
Yeah. I mean, they're never going to see a return, and they know that.
No, never.
Oops. Damn.
I don't know. I mean, I'm honestly tired. At this point, I don't even follow any more games journalism anymore.
Not really.
I follow like PlayStation. I follow Xbox. You know, their actual channels and their Twitter feeds, but because they'll give me the information directly from them, and I don't need to go to Kotaku to read what PlayStation can tell me themselves. So I just gotten tired of even giving them any sort of foot traffic at all.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, man, like I might have read their reviews, but I didn't read it for their opinion on the game. Like, I didn't care what they thought. I would just look for, are the controls well situated, and if they hated it, then I was pretty much guaranteed to like it.
Yeah, if anything, it's like that. Like if I look at reviews for movies or games, and if I see like a completely negative review, and from like a lot of these mainstream outlets, I'm just like, oh, it's probably a damn decent movie or a damn decent game because, I mean, it seems like if the critics hated it, I've kind of see, like whenever the movie theaters do like these critics' choice or whatever, like these after the awards or whatever, they'll put out see the year's best, critically acclaimed movies or whatever, and you go there and it's like, what in the hell are these people? How do they even like this movie? It's like some sort of talking movie, but then you go there and you see the ones that they hated, and it's like, damn. I'm entertained.
Yeah, these are good movies.
Yeah, it's almost like they want to go to the movies or they want to play a game and be preached to rather than escape.
Yeah.
Like the whole reason for entertainment is to escape from your everyday bullshit, politics and life in general, and go see somebody else and
or at least if it's going to be preachy, because I'll tell you, like V for Vendetta, right? You could call that kind of preachy. Like there's definitely a message embedded in the movie V for Vendetta,
yeah,
but it does it in a smart way.
It's definitely not done in a you are scum if you don't believe the way we believe.
Yeah, it's like, no, here's this guy, here's his argument. We're taking this guy's argument to the logical, natural conclusion in the worst of in the circumstances that show best, why he's correct. And we're just going to let it play out and present that as our argument, not this is what's right, you're wrong if you don't believe it,
Yeah. And I can deal with movies like that or games like that that leave it still, they present an idea and then leave it up to me to tell me leave it up to me for me to decide if it's a good idea or not. But the ones that try to conform you and shit, like, and push a full-on narrative and tell you that you're bad for believing otherwise, I can't. Those things I just can't. I just want to turn off and never watch or never touch again.
Yeah, basically.
But I mean, I've never been one to look at reviews in order to buy a game. Like, I grew up in the day where we didn't have games journalism, and so I would go to the store, look at the back of a cover, and go, "Oh, that looks good," or that looks
interesting.
So, I mean, yeah. And so, I mean, I would get it, and I would maybe never beat the game or never even play it again because it was too damn hard, or I just didn't care for it or whatever. But I just bought what I wanted to buy, and that's still what I do now. I don't even really care what somebody else thinks about a game or what they. It makes no sense to me. Like, how am I judging my satisfaction or my eventual satisfaction or dissatisfaction of a game based on somebody else playing it? I don't understand that logic.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's always been, I've used reviews as a tool. And like I said, I've almost never cared
if
about.
You're doing that, like if you're like looking at their gameplay, like the modes or whatever, like the stuff,
sure.
The technical details about a game.
Right.
But as far as like hearing, like saying, well, this person didn't like playing it, so therefore, I don't think I would like it. I just don't
Right.
know how that computes. Like, I mean, unless you really are a monolith, I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's,
Everybody, like
for me, it's always been like, okay, you know, what's the game like? Give me an outline of what's the game like. Okay, it's a shooter. It's got these multiplayer modes. Here's the basic outline of the story. And, you know, I'll aggregate a couple of reviewers that, you know, it's a lot easier with YouTube now because, you know, you can get yourself a couple of personalities that your likes and dislikes are pretty in line with theirs. And so, okay,
yeah, not
this
to
guy
mention
and
they
this
can
guy,
show you a little. They can actually show you a little bit of gameplay as
Right.
well. While they're talking about it.
and that's kind of always how I've done it. You know, it's like I'm usually pretty good at guessing whether or not I'm gonna like a game, just looking at like the outline of
Yeah.
it and stuff. So it's always just like, okay, are the controls good? You know, do the multiplayer modes make sense? Do they work right? You know, is all that okay? Cool, then I'll try it. You know, rather
But see,
than
that
oh,
kinda
this
goes
guy
back to,
doesn't.
like,
Go ahead.
that goes more back to like going back to looking at the package of a game, because you would get a brief little synopsis of the story and then a couple of like 4 pictures of what the game, screenshots of what the game kind of looks like, and you would have to make that decision based in. So I mean, it was basically the same thing. You got a little bit of technical details and a couple of pictures, and you were good to go. I mean,
Yeah,
there was never any.
It was basically a little
I
bit
don't like,
more
I
in
don't like the way
depth
this
than the back
person
cover.
thinks, and yeah, just a little bit, a little bit more in depth. I can understand that. I don't understand. I don't know. I mean, whenever like this guy didn't. I mean, he was using his white privilege. What? Why? What? How does a game character have white privilege? Like,
Right.
or privilege at all? Like,
Pixel privilege.
yeah. It's like I don't.
He just dies and
what
keeps
the
coming
hell?
back, man. That's not realistic.
Yeah. It's like how on earth are you like saying that about a video game character? What?
Yeah, I don't
I've
know,
never
man.
looked at a video game character or a video game story as some sort of real life, or compared it to real life in any way. It's
I mean,
always been a pain.
I guess it depends on the game. There are some that you could make that argument with, but it's very few
Well,
and
yeah.
far between.
Well, they made one like say about the LA riots of '93. Well, yeah, I mean, you could then turn around and like kind of compare it to what you survived, you lived through and how you remember that time frame. But I mean, I just don't know how you could compare like the story in, like I said, The Last of Us or Uncharted or something
Sure.
to real life. Because when is the last time you went treasure hunting and swung on a rope around a skyscraper and landed into a building? When is
Right.
the last time all that happened?
Yeah, I mean,
Or,
that's kind of.
you were out foraging for foods and there was clickers.
I mean, it's the same thing with movies, right? It's yes, there are realistic movies like Schindler's List or whatever, but most of them are
Yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
larger than life. I mean, that's kind of the whole point.
That's the purpose of them.
It's
That's the purpose
life
of them, so you can escape.
adjacent. Yeah, even
Yes.
if it's a kind of sort of realistic thing, it's the most outlandish take on that thing that you can have, because that's
Yes.
kind of the whole point. You want to exaggerate. That's storytelling in a nutshell.
You don't. Yes, you don't. But you don't want to go into a story. I mean, unless you're watching some sort of documentary. But you don't want to go into a story to where you feel like you've just spent 2 hours in regular life.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to go into a movie and come out and go, well, that's just like how nothing. You don't feel different or anything like that. I mean, you just kind of like it felt like you just spent 2 hours in your normal life. That's not what you go to the movies for, unless you're specifically looking for a genre.
Sure, well, and that's the thing.
but-
Even with that, like slice of life, right? Because you could say slice of life is kind of that. It's it's
Not really. Slice of life is again on your list.
well, but here's the thing, right? Even with something like a slice of life, like anime does this all the time. They got a bunch of slice of lives and shit, and I actually enjoy them, even though they're more down to earth. They're not all that outlandish. But even in those kind of stories, they don't just portray the daily life of some random person. They'll in between that, like they'll take a section of somebody's life, and while giving you the daily life, the story will be based around like one of the most important moments in their life.
Well, yeah,
it's
look
not
at the
literally
Chris
just their
Kyle
daily
movie.
life.
Look at the Chris Kyle movie. I mean, it was a good documentary kind of type thing on his life, but they're not going to show you the day in day out of a Navy SEAL.
No, yeah, they're
I mean,
not showing him
that would
going to
be-
the store, or
Yeah,
the
or
guard duty
planning
where
that
nothing happens.
spending 4 days planning a mission, or 4 weeks or whatever. They're not going to show you all that. They're going to show you all
Exactly.
the most important moment and the most entertaining moment. They might give you a small little snippets here and there of like what goes into it, but they're going to
Sure.
make the planning period going from 4 weeks to 4 hours.
Yeah, the bulk of the
Um,
movie is going to focus on the most impactful and important moments
Yes.
of whatever time frame that they're concentrating on. Not all the mundane stuff. I mean, yeah, if they show that stuff, it's just small snippets to give you a context to place the important moments in. And that's basic storytelling, like I was saying.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I just don't understand how people go to the movies or go play a game or whatever looking for some sort of
No, the worst is when those-
message to apply to your everyday life. I just
Wait, but just quick question. Sorry, what was the topic at hand? I guess that happened.
I can't even remember how we got on this.
no, I don't either.
All right, but time for me to rant about this a little bit as well.
JC said something about games journalists, and
Oh, game
we
journalists
kinda-
being garbage. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the worst is when those people who like I don't watch those superhero movies or those fantasy movies because I like realistic movies like I don't know, some detective story, which those are fine, but it's like those people get like super elitist about their shit, dude, and that really bugs me.
But even
I hate
those
people who
detective
think
stories, even those
are
detective
unrealistic.
movies, like they don't show the I don't know, the months and months and months it takes for a detective to actually get a break in the case. It's like you get a break in a detective video TV show or a movie or a video game. You're getting a break in the case in a split second. Your fingerprints, whenever you're sending fingerprints off, they come back within the hour. They get a phone call as soon as they send them to the lab. Phone call rings. Like, come on. In real life, you send them to the lab and you wait 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 weeks, and then you get something back, and you're seeing it play out right now with
Yeah, but the problem is-
these other 3 officers on how long it takes to charge somebody.
I mean, the problem with like with what I was gonna say with those people like that is because these people get all high and muddy because they get like elitist about like, oh, I only like these type of stories or these type of movies because they get all elitist about because they think they're better than people who just like fucking like, I don't know, anime for example, or just like an action movie like
Oh yeah, I mean
Die Hard. It's like really annoying to me, these people. It bugs the hell out of me.
I mean, that's what they even like Randall was saying, the most realistic, like say detective story or whatever, like even if it's grounded in real life, it's still a distillation of the most impactful and important parts of like that detective, right? You make a movie about a detective and say it's completely realistic. Yeah, even still, that story that just happened to that detective, that's like a once in a career type thing.
Yep.
You
That's the
might
reason why
work on
there's
the
a story
force
made
for,
out of it.
yeah, I mean you might work on the force for 30 years and never get anything like that, or if you do, it happens once, and that's the story you drink out from for the rest of your days.
And you harvest for the rest of your life. You
And
harvest.
if they showed an actual real life story and wanted to apply real life politics, real life leave you with a sense of like you just experienced real life, a detective movie would be you have to come back in like 17 parts.
Yeah,
because
and it would
the movie
all be
that
boring as
long.
shit.
Oh yeah, I mean the majority of the movies you would be like, what in the hell am I sitting through?
Yeah, it'd be him calling people, walking down the street, following up leads that go nowhere. Like nobody wants to watch that.
There was a detective game that everyone liked, LA Noire, and it's still unrealistic LA Noire.
Well, it's just the same. LA Noire was like as real
A real
as the movie
detective you could
as the movie is, because you were able to go like the game gave you clues as to where to go find the clue, and you were able to go to that area real quickly, get the clue, and move on with the story. But if they just put you in the game of LA Noire and said, here, you're the detective, go investigate crime, and that was it. Like, you know how long it would take you to beat that game? Because if there was no hints as to go, okay, over here on 6th Street, there was a guy with a black, if they didn't tell you all that, it would take you forever to beat that game because you wouldn't know what the hell to do. You would just be going around aimlessly looking for clues and everything else, just like a detective in real life would be. And people would hate that game.
And it takes like months and all that.
Well, yeah, it would take like, I mean, you talk about a game that takes like 100 hours to beat. That thing would be like a 1,000, 2,000 hour, 2,000, 2,000 hour game to even progress.
Yeah, just people who make the criticism, they want more realistic, whatever the hell. They don't really know what they're talking about.
Well, it's like I can understand it. I can like, and there's nothing wrong with wanting a realistic-esque experience in a game, but that's got to be tempered with, like I said, the basics of storytelling. And it's the basics of storytelling is, even if you're telling a realistic story, it's still going to be a distillation of that. You aren't going to be showing every little thing. Yeah,
I mean, you still want to be able to go see a real life story, and still be able to escape at the exact same time. I mean, that's the generalization of the people, why people read books, why people see movies, why people go to play video games. That's why people do all this entertainment stuff, is to escape their everyday humdum of a life, and so I mean that's the reason. So there's going to have to be some level of escapism in a storytelling, a true storytelling life, to where you can at least still get the message of the gist of what happened, but also still leave feeling like that your goal was accomplished.
Yep.
Because I'd be pissed if I went to go see like a Navy SEAL movie and I had to watch the Navy SEALs do the Navy SEAL stuff. Because I mean that would be just hours. I mean, or a big chunk of the movie of them just sitting in a room listening to somebody talk.
Yeah, or playing Xbox or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it would be boring as hell. I mean, I would be pissed. I'd be like, I don't really want to see an actual real-life depiction of a Navy SEAL, but give me like the short, condensed version with a little bit of, over-embellished dogfights or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just look at like, oh man, the first Die Hard. I mean, there's a completely. I mean, it might not be realistic in that it's never happened, but that's a completely it could have happened type of thing. Yeah. But it's like, how many people is that actually going to happen to? You know what I mean? It's like a 1 in a billion. But it, who cares, right? It could happen.
Yeah. And that's
sure.
The fun part of escapism is that you can put yourself in the situation, but still realize that it's a far enough out there thing that you're not. I mean, it's not going to be happening like an everyday to somebody.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of escapism.
And that's the beauty of storytelling. I mean, this is why we tell stories. It's the whole reason. Nobody was, from all the way to thousands of years ago, nobody was telling stories of fucking Joe the blacksmith. They were telling stories about fucking Hercules and shit. It's like, that's why. It's like, we don't want to hear about Joe the blacksmith. If we wanted to, we could just go talk to Joe the blacksmith. But, it's, I don't know, man. Yeah, this is why, like, I don't want to hate on walking simulators, because I think there could be great walking simulators, and I love like visual novels. Well, that's not a bunch of them, but it's like, you make games like Gone Home and stuff, and it's like too much of it is expanding on the mundane that's just not important.
Yeah, I don't mind walking simulators as long as they have the ability to tell a good story in there.
Yeah.
Problem is, a lot of walking simulators to me are just not that good. Or really, especially the ones that people. These are the top tiers. Like I tried playing Firewatch. I found Firewatch not enjoyable at all to play, and that's why I quit.
Yep.
And visual novels are different though, because it's has more of a niche audience. I shouldn't say more niche, but it has more of a niche audience that what to expect with a visual novel versus like a walk-in simulator.
Well, and I think walking simulators could go down the same route, but I think too many of the producers of walking simulators are using the walking simulator nature as a crutch to cover up for either bad storytelling or bad gameplay design or something like that. Where it's like, it's just a walking simulator.
Yeah, that their storytelling involved all the and Tommy went to the bathroom, and who gives a shit? You know, what I mean, like they put so much crap into walking simulators that it doesn't really add anything to the story, and it's more like you said, the mundane stuff that nobody wants to really even see or deal with in a game.
Yeah, and they're just using it to increase the length of the game when
Yep.
they don't have anything else to put in there. And it's like, yeah, that's not what that's for, guys.
Or to distract you from the graphics of a walking simulator are distracting you from the poor decisions they made on the other end.
Sure.
But I mean, you could argue that Uncharted to a degree or Last of Us to a degree is some sort of walking simulator because you spend a good deal of your time, walking or whatever. But those are the way that they of course they added in combat and stuff like that, which make it a little bit more interesting and take away from like the walking simulator portion. But even during that portion of the walking and no combat, there's still a lot of story that's in there, but it's not filler like to where you feel like that you're just like, but you shut up already and just come on. Like, I mean, you actually want to hear what they're saying, and because they've told a good story in that walking portion.
Sure. Or that they use
like
the walking simulator portion as tension heighteners in between the combat. Yeah, like there's a whole bunch of things going on.
And stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you're
also,
just walking and there's nothing happening. No, you're walking and there's character moments or there's, shit like that. And then that breaks apart the combat section so that it's not just one total, thrill ride, like, because that's not the kind of game they were going for.
And the people who you say walking sims are the true games are artistic. That's the shit that really gets me fucking mad. People say that walking sims are the only true cinematic or artistic games, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, well, fuck them.
Like, that shit is dumb. Especially, it's like, if people who say that, I just wonder, have you played any other game in your life? Just any other game.
To be honest, I mean, I can understand walking simulators, like as far as like playing them for what they are, more than I can people that play the visual novels. Because I mean, I play visual novels. I play visual novel. Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't play a video game to read a book.
Fair enough, but
and I don't go watch a movie. I don't go to watch a movie to read a book either. The people that like the subtitles or whatever, I'm just like, I'm not pausing every 15 minutes so that way I can read the paragraph that comes up. Like that's just those type of things just aren't for me.
Yeah,
I understand that, but I mean, for visual novels, they're more comparable to books, and if you're not into that, you're not into that in the end. So.
But at least here's the thing with that though, right? At least with visual novels, you know what you're getting into. Like there's no mistaking a visual novel for an action game, right? But you can build a walking simulator as another kind of game, and I don't know how much that's happened as of now. Like I can't think off the top of my head. I think maybe Gone Home a little bit was they tried to bill it as more of like maybe not an action game, but more of a game like maybe
game.
Like Last of Us or something like that, where
it wasn't.
And it wasn't. Yeah, it was total. You walk around collecting bottles. Like that's the game. And there's some story elements, fair enough, but yeah, it's not like this was some grand thing.
No,
so,
it was not an intriguing story.
Yeah. But
And also to me, maybe it's because I'm biased in this aspect because I played more visual novel than like played walking sims. But to me, I've found better stories in visual novels than walking sims.
I have too, but you gotta admit though, there are a shitload more visual novels than there are walking sims.
That's fair enough as well. But also, another thing is people are not gonna who love visual novels don't pretend don't go out and say shooters are not true artistic games or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like that's that shit that really bothers me, more than people having preference because I don't really care about preference.
Well, I can say that. I mean, I would say that shooter games aren't really an artistic game. I wouldn't call it that.
Maybe I should use the word artistic, but there's so much good art.
They're more of a technical game, I would say, than they are artistic.
Yeah, but there's so many shooters to me that I played that have good stories, and even if the stories are not that good, have good environments, good skyboxes, and just good design. And I really hate when people just try to ignore that because yeah, it's a shooter. You know what I mean?
Well, now, like, well, okay, what kind of shooters are you talking about? Are you talking about
Like
like a shooter,
Doom.
like say, okay, now
Like
Doom?
has amazing
But
like
see, I don't know, Doom. I wouldn't consider it all like artistic. I would consider that more technical. I wouldn't consider the story of Doom even anything at all. It's more about just simply the killing of the demons and you're gonna focus more on it with Doom, like on the gameplay more so than you are any of the surroundings. I mean, of course they want to make it look nice, but I mean, Doom is mainly about the technical aspects of it. Because I mean, they can you can
Sure,
have Doom
but
exactly the way it is, but you screw up those the killing techniques or whatever, and it's a shit game.
yeah, I mean for Doom it's all about the gameplay, but
Yeah,
there's no
I think
denying.
Doom's probably a like a bad example in your.
I mean, but yeah, but there's no denying like the design, like the visual of Doom and this in the
Oh
skyboxes
no,
in the
no, I mean
environment.
they
There's no
definitely.
denying
I mean the artists definitely have mastered the look of hell.
I mean, that's it.
Um,
Like that's what I'm more talking about, Rainbow. People saying like, "Oh, shooter games don't have like this to them or whatever." Even though I just think that's a fault, not a
I
good
would
statement.
say if they say that I mean my thought would be they would be talking about like games like Overwatch and that are just multiplayer like online multiplayer shooters. Like to me there's really nothing special about the maps or like as far as the looks go in those type of, in any of those multiplayer games. Um, it's more so about just technical gameplay and
Sure, but even then, you could say, you know, like the characters and designs and stuff. There's a lot of artistic creativity in something like
well,
Overwatch
yeah, I
when it
mean
comes to things like that.
there is, and I mean, but I just when I think of like artistic, I don't really think of the character design. I mean, now that I mean that just might be my own bias in that, but I mean, I'm looking more of like the environment more than I am the individual characters. But there's no denying that there's a damn good artist that drew all the damn Overwatch characters, or even the uh, what is that damn one with the F?
Fortnite? No.
Fortnite. How the hell did I forget that name? I mean, there's still some good artistry in that as far as like the drawing of the characters. Because I sure still I can't draw those things.
Right.
But I mean, if when I think, I mean, because I mean, all these other games that you have mentioned, like Doom and all that, they all have good character, good character designs. But the one thing that separates them from, like, say, a Overwatch or something like that is the environment. And I think that whenever I look at the environment, that's where I look at more the artistry thing, or think more of that.
Well,
And that's what's,
I would
more
I would
depressing
liken it
about-
to I'd liken it to the distinction between like Schindler's List and some silly stoner comedy. You know, it's like
Yeah, I can.
it's not like you can't call both of them art because it's like everything's
They
art.
are, yeah.
You know, but
yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's not like How High is on the same level as Schindler's List, right? Obviously, there's
Not
a
even- yeah.
distinction. You know.
And there's definitely going to be. I mean, and definitely. I mean, when you're looking at a multiplayer thing with no story mode, I mean, that part isn't really high on your list. Your main thing is, your technicalities, like your hitboxes and stuff. But you still are going to put some art into it. So I mean, yeah, I can see that being a
And even
comparable thing, like Overwatch being
Dark
more of
Souls
like the
and-
How High, and Dark Souls being more of the.
Schindler's
Or
List.
Doom being more of the Schindler's List type thing. Yeah, I can see that.
because Dark Souls is fantastic in terms of environment and everything design wise. In Dark Souls is on like probably some of the best in gaming, I would say. It just doesn't appeal to everyone. The gameplay is just the gameplay is not that appealing to everyone because not everyone wants to play a tough action RPG.
Yeah, but the game. I mean, I still say the hitboxes in Dark Souls they made them purposely cheap as hell.
Yeah,
I would say there's a.
That's fair
I would
enough.
say there's
like,
a whole. I would say there's a whole lot of better gameplay mechanics, and like a Call of Duty than there is a Dark Souls. I mean, because they're more it's more about precision and like a Call of Duty type of thing than it is with Dark Souls. But Dark Souls is made that way purposely. Like that's their whole thing. Is
I mean, the whole game kind of
cheats.
cheats. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's meant to be cheating, kinda.
Yeah, it's cheating. It's cheating against you, where you have to come up with ways on your own to figure out how to beat them. But yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, there's nobody that does that type of thing from software better.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
dude. Oh, Armored Core. Oh my God. that game cheated so fucking hard. I believe there were enemies in Armored Cores where they had mech loadouts that you could not build yourself because it would like overload the legs or whatever. And it's like, you cocksuckers, man.
Yeah, I mean it's just it would be fun, I think, to make a game to where the game gets to cheat against the player. I just think that would be because you have to come up with clever ways for the game to cheat that
Right.
aren't so brazen.
I
Right.
think another game
And-
like to me, I think this is some of the best visuals like from a PlayStation exclusive to me are Bloodborne. Like, have you played Bloodborne or no?
I have, but I mean, I haven't played all the way through because I mean, I suck at those games. I mean,
Yeah,
for a while,
understandable.
when I first put Bloodborne in, I don't know anything about these type of games because I never have played a Dark Souls, and I could never get past the first. Like, as soon as you walk out and there's that one little monster that you have to fight in that room with a bunch of gurneys in it or whatever.
Yeah, the
I could never
clinic.
get out of that. Yeah, I could never get out of that area because I didn't even know anything about dying and
You're
getting a
supposed to
gun and
die
all
in
that
there,
stuff.
yeah.
And I didn't know anything about this stuff. I didn't even know about this other room that existed. When I died, I went to that graveyard and I was stuck there. Like I couldn't get out. I was like, I walked to the door, it wouldn't open. I was like, well, fuck it, man. I'm never playing this game. And then somebody said, well, there's a gun right there. I'm like, yeah, what? Like I didn't know. Like I didn't know you were supposed to read all that shit at the bottom of the that pops up on your screen. I'm like, so I mean I've learned a little bit more. I want to go back and play it and try to actually beat it because I think that game, if you platinum it or you beat it, even just beating it would feel some sort of a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, because like obviously like the game and difficulty wise is not
But
for
I would-
everyone. But
I would
for
still say though that I mean unless things change as far as because I've been out into the world a little bit from there, and I found a boss around the corner that I just can't, or not even a boss, but I guess a mini little boss or whatever that I just can't have anything to deal with. But if unless things change as far as graphic wise, I would say that like God of War looks a whole lot better than, or even Horizon Zero Dawn looks a whole lot better than Bloodborne. But now
I like the
again,
aesthetic. Thing is, I really love the aesthetic of Bloodborne. At least to
the
me,
aesthetic
I love
the
it.
aesthetic is nice. It definitely fits the type of monsters you're fighting and the type of everything fits.
The art
It's
style
it's
of it.
Yeah, it's
to
like
me,
it's like kind of a perfect storm.
Like that's what I love about Bloodborne. Like the art style, the enemy designs, your character design, and the boss fights. Like how not boss fights, but like how the boss look. To me, is like some of my I fucking love that shit, dude. Like the giant beast on the bridge you fight. Oh my god, such a menacing opponent. But he's not that hard of a boss. But
I just,
such
I mean,
menacing
I
opponent.
I think that title right there alone, if that title ever comes to PC, that will like make everybody's day because I've never seen I've never seen enough like as many people requesting a port to PC or a port to another console than I have seen of what they do with Bloodborne.
Dude, that's the one PS4 exclusive that I wish was on PC. I couldn't care
Yeah,
about any of
it's
the
gonna
other
happen.
ones.
I'm sure it will happen.
It's one of my I think it's one of my favorite games of this generation. That's how much I love it.
Yeah.
So Sony, I hope you bring it to PC or on the PS5. Just make it 60 frames per second. That's another feature I just would because to me because that game would go 30 and below a lot of times, and I'm like, oh please Sony, don't. It hurts. So Sony, you got homework now.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I mean,
I wonder if there's ever going to be a Bloodborne 2.
Ah man, I don't think there will be at this point, which kind of sucks. But if it's just a one-off game, I'm still fine with that, nonetheless. Because sometimes those one-off games are really nice to have.
Yep.
Because not every game needs something to. I said something too, like a second or a third or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with a short. Oh, dude, like the one I just played, Katana Zero, man. Oh my God, what an amazing fucking game! And it's not all that long. It only if you're good at the mechanics, it only takes about 6 or 7 hours to beat it once through. But fuck, what an amazing game! Just great pixel art, amazing story. You know the mechanic. I don't want to spoil anything because there's a lot of stuff about it that, like, if you go into it without knowing anything, it just it's kind of mind blowing. But yeah, and it's it's not that long. It doesn't need to be.
And it doesn't need a sequel, probably. Doesn't need a sequel or no?
There was a DLC added that extended the story a little bit, but yeah, as far as I know, there's no sequel planned or anything like that.
Yeah, not everything needs a sequel, guys. That's another lesson the game industry needs to learn.
And JC, no, Shadow of the Colossus would not be considered a walking sim. Nothing's got quite a bit of
Are you? Yeah,
technical gameplay in
big
there.
disagree with that one.
I mean, you could kind of sort of make the argument. Like, it certainly has walking simulator aspects to it because it is a whole lot of time in between the, like, more than any other game, I think, that I've seen, where the time stretches in between combat and stuff are just super long. But yeah, it's is that really walking sim?
There's really no. Yeah, when I think of walking sim, there's really no combat. It's just kind of like you're getting a narrative told, and I mean, you might be doing some things or stuff like that, but it's all technical things. It's not fighting a boss or something.
Right.
And
but I mean, it definitely has more. It definitely has more of an aspect to it than probably any other game that I could think of. As far as, but I mean, I wouldn't personally call it a walking sim.
Yeah,
that's another great game that got a really dope remaster on the PS4. Shadow of the Colossus.
My remaster, I haven't gone back and played it. I played up until I think like the third boss, and then my game glitched out. It kept crashing.
Oh shit!
So I was never able to finish it. So I went out and got me a physical copy, and I just haven't actually put it back in and finish playing it, but I want to because I want to get the platinum in it.
Yeah, I mean that sounds cool, but also I think some of the shit in there, like I love the Shadow of the Colossus. Like I think it has some of the coolest boss fights. Like to me, that really just
yeah, because that was kind of the whole game was those boss fights.
And they're very interesting because they're you have to have skill on those. I mean, it's not just simply hitting the boss or whatever like that. You have to go up and attack it in certain areas, and each boss is different. So I mean,
you have to mount it and shit. And like, oh my god, this is so cool.
You have to have a different strategy with every single boss, and like they really put together a well crafted thing. Which is, I forgot what they called a game that was just nothing but boss battles.
It's boss rushes that we call them. I think it's called.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's more of like what I would consider Shadow of the Colossus in a walking sim.
It's more of a boss rush game than walking sim.
But I mean, again, like he said that I mean, there is a lot of time in between each boss fight because I mean, you have to travel so far to get to one.
Yeah,
and nothing really is filled in there. I mean, there's really no story.
It's more of like small storytelling with Shadow of the Colossus.
Which is kind of disappointing in a sense, because I mean, I would have because I think they could have used that gap to really fill in as to why you are in the situation that you're in and what's going on. They could have really filled in with some good story detail.
I mean, the story to me is simple, but also a decent one because it's a simple story of the guy trying to save the girl, but there's kind of a twist to it, where at the end you're kind of just killing. You're kind of killing not monsters. Turns out you weren't killing monsters like what you think it is. You were just killing some like majestic beast just so you can release some demon to save this girl. But you become a demon and you just lose everything in the end. I don't know. I think it's kind of a cool story that has a decent twist if you don't see it coming. So.
Well, thanks a lot. Because now, see,
fuck! Shit, sorry.
That's fine. I'll probably forget it by then. There's so many games I have to play before.
Yeah, right. 10 years later, he's gonna finish it.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, "Oh shit, Blue told me about this back in the day."
Yes, I remember this now. I got something. I can recall something about this.
Yeah. Well,
that's an unfortunate thing. I've been playing games for so many other people lately that.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Oh no, I was talking about the game, but no, I think what they were going for with the Shadow of Colossus thing was like, with the minimalist storytelling aspect and the walking simulator portions or whatever you want to call them in between the boss fights and stuff. I think they could have kept that and yet also expanded on the story some if they had saved a lot of the story stuff for the later parts and then so there'd be a lot of walking sim parts in the beginning, but as you get farther and farther in the game, they start using those parts to further the story more and more.
I mean, there's also more salty. Like your character changes in the story, where he becomes more like demonified, like the more beast he kills.
But it's still real light on the storytelling elements, even all the way up to the end.
Fair enough, but I still.
I mean,
I don't know, man. Like
I would actually.
I
mean,
I'm not
if
sure
you
if
do
I'd want to have it
Japanese,
either way.
you could probably pick the brain of the person to figure out like why he chose that way. But I'm sure there was definitely a method to his madness and creating it that way.
And obviously it worked, because goddamn,
Yeah,
does that game have a cult following?
Oh God, yeah. Like whenever that thing got remastered, like you would have thought that when they showed that game at one of the E3s or whatever, you would have thought that like they had just said that the second coming was coming or whatever. Like the people were just like freaking out. And I'm like,
Half-Life 3 was about to drop or something.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I was like, what in the hell? Like it's just a game. Like it doesn't seem anything special.
The thing is, it's like to me it is something special. Like to me, Shadow of the Colossus is I think one of the most unique games at least I've played. It's one of those games.
I mean,
that
it definitely like you said, it comes with
a.
it comes with the following. It's developed. Whatever he did well. The developer. And I don't know. I mean, you can sit back and I guess second guess him, but I mean, I don't know. It seems like kind of pointless to second guess him at this point because it seemed to have worked. He's got everybody hooked, and I guarantee if they say I mean it's never going to happen where like the Shadow Colossus 2, but if it ever did,
I mean, there technically was a sequel.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying, like a name wise, it would definitely be a big seller, simply for the fact that of the following that it's incurred just from the one, I guess the one game on PS1 that it was remastered on, or what it was PS1, right?
No, PS2, I think.
PS2.
And then it was remastered on PS3. Yeah. Okay, so it was PS2, then PS3, remastered on PS3, and then reimagined on PS4.
And PS4 is probably the best version because the PS3 remaster still didn't get.
That's what I heard it.
Because the one thing that the PS4 version has is it's a pure like 60 FPS experience no matter what in the entire game. And granted, it's an old game, I get that, but it's like to me that's like smoothness. I love it.
Technically, JC, there's already been a Counter-Strike 2. So I think you mean Half-Life 3 or Counter-Strike 3, and I don't think either of them are coming out anytime soon, ever.
Half-Life isn't gonna happen.
Like, Valve just does not like threes, so...
I think the PS4 version is simply probably what the developer first imagined the game to be like. Just now the proper hardware to actually run it.
Yeah, because also it was quite the technically advanced game for the PS2. Okay, it's a game like sure it looks simple at first, but like imagine the PS2 trying to process those giant colossus. You know what I mean? Especially trying to mount them, because this is something you just look at. You have to mount them. You do a bunch of crazy shit in that game.
And without
the PS2 trying to process it, it's like that's difficult.
And as far as I know, it was without like the use of like the God of War type thing where you just press a button and then it does a I mean it's kind of sort of pre-rendered, but I mean it's not real time. That's the thing, and as far as
all real time.
Yeah, it was all real time, which that's the technically difficult part, because it's easy to do something that's like I said, it's not exactly pre-rendered, but it's not real time for like the God of War type stuff, and that's so much easier to do because there's not unexpected things happening that can chop your frame rate down or something like that. Whereas with Shadow of the Colossus, all of it was real time, and that's I mean this is the whole reason that turn-based games exist. Like, one of the big reasons that things like a Final Fantasy or whatever is turn-based is because that's so much easier to do than an actual real-time, completely, open combat game like, Spyro or whatever. So, but
I've always wondered why turn-based even exists.
I mean, for certain things, obviously,
why it has such a following.
I don't either. I've never been the biggest fan of turn-based. I understand some of it, like a lot of people like the tactical aspect, and that makes sense for like the chessboard style games.
Yeah, but to me, not a like it was supposed to be an action game.
Yeah, like a Final Fantasy. It's like, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
that's not a chessboard game. That's not really tactical. Like you're just doing moves over and over. And I think a lot of it is like Final Fantasy VII when they were first to. I mean, Final Fantasy VII dropped real soon after the release of the PS1. And it's like, look at the real-time games in relation to that game, and it's like, well, no, I'm not talking about the remake, obviously, but you know, you look at the real-time games, and they're games like Spyro. They have real simple graphical, not themes, but like styles.
Sure.
You know, they've got real simple enemy movements and your movements. Like everything is simple and there's, you know, it's yeah.
I can understand the turn-based, like with the limitations of things back then. I just don't understand turn-based in like an action turn-based game. Like say the Final Fantasy VII. I mean, obviously not the remake, but say if it came out now. Like I could not understand a game like that being turn-based in today's day and time.
Yeah.
It's
or
still
the
probably
reason.
really popular.
Well, I'm sure it would be, but I just don't understand even the following behind it because there's no real like chessboard, like you said, like a chessboard type move, like there is like in those games like where it's war games, like you have to be strategic with where you're placing stuff. I can fully understand it in there, but just I don't know, like Final Fantasy and games like that should definitely be full on action.
And I think that's why we don't see a whole lot of turn-based games anymore. Like they still have a following, and probably the following only exists because of the limitation. And if that limitation had never existed in the first place, then there'd probably be a whole lot less of them. And that's fine.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, lots of games have come out, or lots of styles of games have come out like that, where, you know, something gets popular because it was done a certain way because of a limitation, and then that becomes popular even though the limitation no longer exists. You know, but yeah, it is what it is.
Well, now they've said though that the Yakuza series was going to be ended with 6. Well, at least whatever his whoever the lead character is, I forgot what his name is.
I mean, but
now they are saying that instead of the action base games that they had, they are moving it to turn-based for the Yakuza 7 and on.
Interesting.
And I'm just like, that's a really bold move for a game that everybody loved the action fights.
Right.
And now you're moving it to slow it down a lot.
I mean,
like
what are they gonna do with it though? Because with turn-based, like you're limited to turn-based, but also it opens up a bunch of other stuff for you when like turn-based.
It just slows the. I mean, to me, a turn-based game in today's day and time takes me out of the story because like you're going along, and then all of a sudden, bam! Like everything just stops, and then it's just like you hit me, I hit you, you hit me, I hit you. But if you're like in an action game like a Yakuza 6 now, you come across an enemy as you're running. The game doesn't stop and go, take you into a different screen. You just see the enemies and you start fighting. That to me is more of an even flow with the story, especially the story of a gangster, rather than like, okay, we're gonna pause here, we're gonna take you to a different area, or like maybe even the same area, but just like it's gonna have a different, you're gonna have a different loading screen, and everybody's gonna pop up. Here's his health bar, and here's his magic bar, and like it takes you out of the. It's kind of like the whole, like with the woman in Uncharted 4, like when you beat up Drake, it takes you out of the. When something like that happens, it takes you out of the story. To me.
Yeah,
that's the reason why I don't like them.
I mean,
it's like you get a fast-paced game, and then bam, it's like all of a sudden it slows down a lot.
You're not wrong.
Sure. I mean, maybe for you, but also depends. Like, what are they gonna do with now the game being turn-based? Like, that's the whole thing. Are they gonna do it turn-based, but spike the difficulty up so there's more strategy involved?
They're gonna have to, because I mean, Yakuza wasn't hard to begin with.
I mean, because that's also something that turn-based opens up. Like, with turn-based is opens up, you can make the game really difficult. Like, you can.
But they're gonna have to figure out a different way to tell the story rather than an open world, because I mean, it's gonna have to probably become more like a Persona type series than it is
Right.
what we typically know of Yakuza.
That's another game that's really popular. Persona.
I bought Persona 5. I have never played it, but to me, I don't know the gravity behind. I mean, I don't understand the popularity behind it, but
Just come to
that's just
PC,
me.
Persona. That's all I want. Just come to PC, please.
I mean, I think I get it.
I don't.
Because like I said, I get like Final Fantasy VII and stuff. It's not really my kind of game, but you know, to each their own, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't fault anybody for liking it. I just don't understand it myself. Like it's more of like the same thing. Like I get that y'all like Overwatch. Me, I don't understand why you do. But I mean, if you're playing it and enjoying it, like who gives a shit? Like if that's what you like, that's what you like. That's the reason why they have all these different games is because there's something out there for everybody.
And that's the thing. Honestly, that's one of the reasons I love gaming so much. Is this just like it doesn't matter what kind of gamer you are, man. Whether you like hardcore competitive shooters or you like slow turn-based, Final Fantasy 7s or Personas, or whether you like walking sims, like there's something for everybody, and there's probably a shitload of that something. There's not many genres that don't at least have a few dozen games that are quality in it.
Even if you were just a walking sim fan, and that's all you wanted to play, like there's so many out there. If there's and I mean they're in every genre, but that's the same thing. Like with movies, they're sort of that way, but I mean, there's nothing to the same degree as what gaming is.
Well, I think the categories are a little less rigid than in gaming, right? Because it's easy to have an action movie with some humor and some drama in it, whereas it's not like you can make a turn-based game that's also a competitive shooter. Those two are diametrically opposed, whereas with movies you can blend the genres a lot more.
And you can have somebody who likes comedy still go to see an action movie because of the comedy, and then you could get the couples where they're like, if she likes comedy and you like action, y'all can still go see, say, like a Bad Boy
Rush Hour or Bad Boy. Yeah, exactly.
Rush Hour, yeah. I mean, you could go see that to where she could laugh, you could still get the action.
Whereas with like a Call of Duty, it doesn't matter how great that story might be. If you don't like shooters, you're not going to like Call of Duty.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, but that's the beauty of there's so like if you look at the genres of gaming, there's it's almost like endless. Like there's so many different things, and they've taken
also online turn-based games that
but they've also taken away, like say a turn-based game. And then turned it into like all these different ones, like strategy turn-based games, action turn-based games. Like there's all these different subgenres of the one genre. So you can even drill down even further into these things to get something specifically for you.
And then also real-time strategy people.
Yeah, there's so
people
many.
Out there who only play. There's people out there who only like and play real-time strategy games.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't understand that either. But again, that's the beauty of gaming is that there's so like. You might understand the need for the game, but there's so many people out there. This is the one entertainment hobby that can feed literally anybody.
Yeah.
People try.
That's the reason why I say that when they say that gaming's not inclusive, I just don't understand that because like there's literally something for everybody.
Yep. I can't think of a more inclusive hobby.
When they use inclusive, we all know what they mean. We all know what they mean.
Even with that, there's still. I mean, it's still literally something for everybody. I mean, I don't think that I don't know how any of the games today that could segregate. I mean, obviously the inclusive. I know what you mean, like as far as the character goes. But even if you were looking for a black-led character, you could find so many games out there that are quality games with black-led characters. I just don't know. Maybe if you wanted to drill down into your trans exclusionary radical feminist lead character, you might have a problem, but
but how many more are searching for something like that though? That's the thing.
Yeah, but I mean for the most part, I mean as far as the demographics of America or the demographics of the world go, there's literally something for everybody.
Which would come first, Super Mario 50 or Half-Life 3? Oh, dude, come on.
Like, come on,
Half-Life 3 is never coming out. It's just not going to happen.
Already on like Super Mario 55?
Ooh. Oh,
I
man.
just want, like, can Nintendo just remake Mario Sunshine? That'd be nice as well. Or
I'm-
bring back Paper Mario. Like, that's another game I want back.
Mario RPG, man.
I'm so tired of Mario games. I just got tired of Nintendo altogether.
I can understand it.
I mean,
I mean-
I guess when you grew up, like when you were with me that grew up on Nintendo, where you've
Sure.
had like Nintendo from the beginning,
Yeah.
you kind of can get drowned out with it, especially when you can keep hearing that same damn name for I guess what 30 years now.
I mean, they found their niche and they're sticking to it.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
don't
admit,
think that's the
can't fault them
greatest.
for it.
I don't think that's the greatest idea, but hey, you know, it's working so far. But this is
How
the
is you can
thing.
do so much with Mario? You can do so much.
Well, that's
But
I guess that's the one good thing about it though with them though is that every generation they have a new set of customers.
sure. But I think that's running out though.
You think? I mean, look at the
It's
sales
tough,
of
man.
the Switch and look at the sales in the games of the Switch where they're selling, 10, 15, 16, 17 million. I mean,
The problem with, like, I guess, like we said with Mario, problem Mario is not the same every time. Like, there's Mario, there's so many different genres within the Mario games themselves.
But that's the thing. I
don't
think
Mario
they're running out of ideas of doing that though.
imagine taking Master Chief or Nathan Drake and then putting him in literally every single type of genre out there and every single type of game out there. Like you would
Yeah.
eventually get tired of seeing that one character, regardless of the genre being going from a platformer to a turn-based RPG. Like any of those things, you would just get tired of seeing that one character.
And also, if Mario, when it comes to its platformer main branch, it's all like the Nintendo always nails the platformer. That's another thing. Like, you'll never have
yeah.
like some the game be mediocre. Like in Mario Odyssey, which, oh man, that was such a good game, Mario Odyssey.
I don't know. I think
One of the best
I think
platformers.
the one thing that's going to be the downfall of Nintendo is they put all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Or they refuse to fucking make games or do any sequels to games that people want.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I see like Rambo was saying, and I'm the same way. It's like for everybody who grew up on NES and SNES, like you can only see Mario so many times before it's just like, okay, I get it, and you don't care anymore. And I don't know if they'll be able to keep bringing in new players for those franchises if all they keep doing is the same stuff. Now maybe they'll start branching out, like they're obviously now getting third-party games on the Switch and shit, and that might really help. But I don't know. I think the nostalgia can only last so long.
Where do they go from here, though? I mean, like, are they just going to stick with like the handheld brand, like the next console, or are they going to really try to stick with? Are they going to go back like to more traditional and? Because I mean, their games don't require a lot of power, so they don't really need to get the power behind it. So I mean, I guess the only reason they need the power is for the third party.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I mean, again, I still say like if you look at say, like my 3-year-old, like if she saw Mario, I think she would be one that would be like, oh, that looks fun, it's just a little cartoon game. So I mean, I still say that they still have a core set of customers, and now whether or not their parents would buy it for them or not, that would be the hard thing. Because if the parents were out of the game of that name or whatever, they might just say, forget it, we'll buy you something else. Because it's not like you can't get cartoon games on other platforms.
Right. Yep.
I think Nintendo has so much staying power, especially of them being a well-known brand. Like,
They might. I mean,
forever.
they've been around for a while. I mean, they've definitely been around for a while and have stuck around and stuck with the one thing, and it works for them. But eventually, I mean, all good things will have to come to an end, and they'll either adapt with the times or they'll become a publisher.
Yeah, man. The Zelda, their latest Zelda, Breath of the Wild, blew everything out of the park, dude.
Yeah, except for, have you heard anybody talk about it lately? Because I haven't.
Breath of the Wild, no.
I have not heard that name mentioned in in over a year, at least. And this is kind of what I
3
mean.
years old. The game's 3 years old, dude.
Oh, yeah, but so is Counter-Strike, and people still talk about that. Overwatch is that old.
Counter-Strike and Overwatch are competitive shooters that are still being played today because they're
Even before the
esports
release of the remaster was announced, people had still been talking about Final Fantasy VII for fucking over a decade.
Yeah, I think your thesis is wrong because considering that the Switch was sold basically only off Zelda for like at least the first year.
I mean, just because a game is popular doesn't mean it has staying power. And
I definitely does. I think the next Zelda game that they'll release will do insanely well, just like the last one.
See, that's tough because what are they gonna do with it? They've already done the open world. Like they could change it up, but that would just turn it.
What's Bethesda gonna do with the next Elder Scrolls? They can't just do another open world Elder Scrolls.
I see a little bit of a difference there because for one thing, with say an Elder Scrolls,
they're both RPGs.
No. But Elder Scrolls constantly pushes the boundaries of what it's possible to do with the technology at the time. Started with Daggerfall, then you moved into Morrowind, and then Oblivion, and then now Skyrim. And every time it gets bigger, it gets more technical, more complicated, more things going on, more quests, things like that. Whereas with Zelda, that's the thing. Are they gonna, if they ever do a sequel, are they just gonna do the same game but retooled, or are they gonna completely reimagine it like they did with Zelda in the first place? And if they don't reimagine it, like if they don't do something completely new, like I don't see it being as popular as the first game was.
Don't agree with that, especially of like how I think Breath of the Wild is a fantastic in terms of open world because it actually, the mentality where if you see that mountain you can go climb it. Zelda actually did that, unlike Elder Scrolls. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. Todd Howard, his Book of Lies.
I mean, you could climb it. It was just difficult because you were jumping and shit like that. But that's beside the point, though.
Elder Scrolls was using Skyrim as a game was incredibly restrictive.
I mean, yes and no. Like, depends on what you mean, or in what aspect you mean.
It's open world. It truly wasn't like you can go anywhere. You had to always take a certain path to get to the cities or anything.
No, stop. No, that is not true. How many times I cut through the forest to get to a city when I didn't have to? I don't know. It's a fine balance with that kind of stuff. But my whole point was that I don't think Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever would work the same as between, say, like Skyrim and Oblivion. I don't think if they did the same thing that Elder Scroll or that Bethesda does with, say between the difference between Oblivion and Skyrim, I don't think that would work as well for Breath of the Wild, because the whole thing with Breath of the Wild was that everything was new. Oh my God, it's Zelda, but open world and, this, that, and the other, all these different things. But if they just do the same thing, but a different story in new areas, and new weapons or magic or whatever it is, I don't think it'll get the hype that it got before, because none of it's going to be new.
She's telling me an open world Zelda game with a completely new open world won't do as well as the first one.
I don't think so.
I disagree with that immensely.
Okay, but like I said,
there was a lot of complaints with that open world one, though. I mean,
and like I said, people don't talk about it anymore. That's the thing. Like, that's my big thing.
Do people talk about Skyrim anymore?
People still do.
Skyrim is talked about like almost daily, and I mean it's still in people's, like they're still, I mean, online, and there's still people using Skyrim memes, and I mean Skyrim has stayed relevant through.
And look at the modding community.
Releases.
People still mod Skyrim. Whereas even if modding was available with Breath of the Wild, I don't know if they would.
I think it definitely would. Because Breath of the Wild, Nintendo did a lot of modding and it was on PC. I think Breath of the Wild leaves itself perfectly open for modding.
I don't know. I think that if, I mean, I can understand, like where you're coming from whenever you say that it might sell. If it's going to, it's going to be on name basis only. Because the people, I mean, even besides the stands for it, like for the most part, people had a lot of complaints about it, like as far as the weapon degradation and stuff like that. So I mean, unless
Yeah,
they fix a lot of the issues, it's not. I mean, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna go wild like Breath of the Wild did.
I think even if they did do anything, but they
And
probably
I
will
think
do
there's a big.
more of that.
I think there's a really big bad taste in people's mouths with the way Nintendo handled Breath of the Wild. Because there was so much promise that it was coming to the Wii, and then
It did come to Wii U.
well, eventually, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying there was, but I mean, it was supposed to be built for the Wii U, but then all of a sudden it became like a Switch game that then turned back to a, you could still get a copy on the Wii U. There was a lot of
Sure, mixed messaging, but
yeah,
Tell me
and
it doesn't have a
unpleasant
publisher.
fans behind it.
tell me that doesn't have any other dev team or any other game series.
No, it does, and it gets called out. That's the thing. Like, people are still
Breath of
talking
the Wild was
about
called
how.
out.
No. But people are still bitter about like what the fuck is the name of that game? The space one, the exploration game.
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky. Yeah, people are still bitter about that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but
that's
also No Man's Sky is I think there's a big difference between like what happened with Breath of the Wild.
sure, but it's the
and
same.
all
It's a
that's in No
similar
Man's Sky.
situation though.
No, No Man's Sky, the game that they promised was a complete lie.
Oh, No Man's Sky, yeah, that was. But
Like, the game
one
was
good
a
thing,
complete-
I don't think it was a complete lie, but I mean, it was
It
definitely.
definitely was. That
not
demo
what
they
it
showed
was-
at E3.
It was definitely not what it was built out to be. But the one good thing is that he stuck around and made it what it was
I'm
supposed
sure
to be
They
without
fixed it.
charging
but-
you for it.
They definitely did fix it for free, but there's tons of people who will still have a bad taste in their mouth, especially since, because the launch matters. Like, if you mess up your landing, there will be a certain bad taste of your game that will exist forever. And Breath of the Wild, it wasn't just like when other games mess up at launch, but get returned later on. No Man's Sky had a humongous fuck up. Like, you saw those jokes where it was like what it showed the demo, it showed this lush environment, everything, and then you actually have you play the game and it's just like some piece of shit.
Oh yeah,
There's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's like you saw.
I
You see what I mean?
bought the game. I mean, I bought the game day one, and I won't. I mean,
It
if they had a No Man's Sky 2, I wouldn't trust the guy. I wouldn't put my money behind it until it was out and proven to be what they said it was going to be.
There were no desert planets, no ocean planets. There's like 3 planet types that were not even in the game that were shown in demos.
And the one thing that you'll never reach the
animal.
center of the it's almost impossible to reach the center of the universe or whatever. That was done within I think
I got
one day.
I got it in like 2 days.
Yeah, I mean it was done pretty quickly.
And then you go into the middle of the universe, just set you back.
Yeah, so I mean, that type of launch. But I think that's the reason. Another thing with why the next Zelda game won't be treated with the exact same amount of hype that Breath of the Wild was, because of the fact of it had a terrible messaging, and then the launch game itself had a lot of problems with the weapons, and there was just so much open area where there wasn't really much going on, and there was a lot of complaints about that too. So I mean, I think that, and it, just like Pete said, I haven't seen anybody bring up Breath of the Wild. If they bring up Nintendo, they're bringing up Super Smash Brothers or something like that. They're not bringing up Breath of the Wild anymore at all.
I think as soon as they show a demo, they're gonna Nintendo shut down Breath of the Wild 2. Repairs a couple things like the
we'll have to see.
degradation.
Well,
We'll
have to see if they even do a second one.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
already confirmed that this is the first time Nintendo's ever done a direct sequel to a Zelda game.
It's actually
hard
confirmed?
pressed to think that it would
Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay.
Okay, so it would be really hard pressed for me to believe that Nintendo would drop Zelda altogether.
Sure.
Like they're gonna make another Zelda game no matter what. But
My question would be, is it Breath of the Wild? And obviously,
No,
I guess it is.
It's Breath of the Wild too. They
Okay.
confirm it's a
I
direct
haven't heard
sequel
of
to Breath
that.
of the Wild. Like all the Zelda games are connected, but there isn't there never
No,
been
but
like a name brand like
Well, but
direct
that's the
drop.
thing. They're a lot more like Final Fantasy, where they don't exactly get tied up in making sure that the second one perfectly matches or I should say the next one perfectly matches the one that came before it. Right? They have the freedom to change that quite a lot. You know, as long as the main character is still either Link or some other character in it,
It's always
and
like,
it's in the same world and stuff. But you know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll
also,
have
there's
to
a bunch
see.
of other good. Yep, and those are a bunch of other good news. Conan Exile is getting De Novo removed from it.
So is Metro Last or Exodus?
Exodus.
Yes, we should start a
And
hashtag.
Doom.
No more De Novo.
Dude, it's kind of crazy to see how much like De Novo is getting removed from everything, dude.
Well, it's not getting completely removed from Doom. They are just removing the anti-cheat. So, just to be clear on that. But yeah, at least that's getting removed.
With Metro, they're completely removing De Novo.
Yes. Which
So
just
the game might run
just
better.
like that, the stuttering was gone.
And there's a bunch of issue fishes coming with it too. So I'm actually gonna play like Exodus again when it has no De Novo because I actually want to see like.
Oh,
what's the
it's already out.
It's already out. Oh,
The
shit.
hot fix was out when that announcement was made. So the update that's currently live is the one without. Now I don't know if it has all the fixes that they were talking about, but for sure it said right on the Steam announcement that the hot fix that is going live today, and I downloaded it, is the one that is removing the De Novo. So
We're starting a movement, guys. No more
Yep.
De Novo.
yes, sir.
Which I think this will be a good thing for the industry.
It will be great. And honestly, I think this is the way they all should go. If you really want to have, I mean, I hate De Novo. I'd prefer it be another DRM. But if you want to have De Novo or something like it in your game, fine. But once it's been out for a few months, take that shit out. You don't need it. It's already been cracked. You know, and a lot of these DRMs, they really do some nasty stuff. Like De Novo for sure. I mean, it's you can't even contest it at this point. They have proven it with so many games where you get a De Novo version and a non-De Novo version, and the De Novo version has all sorts of problems like stuttering and fucking shit like that. And yeah, I want that to be the norm, where
I
after
wonder
a few months, the game just takes out the DRM because there's no point in having it.
I wonder like if Exodus, if there's any like if this, because I remember in the desert in Metro Exodus, the second like open world area, there was all these much stutterings I had there. I wonder if
Yes.
that's gonna be completely gone.
Yes.
Oh shit. I guess
Yeah.
I guess it's a good time to complete my hardcore ranger playthrough now, because now I won't have that stuttering in the fucking desert. My game crashed like 10 times.
I'm kind of glad I waited on finishing the game till now. Now I can play it without the fucking DRM.
And it's also, isn't it coming to GOG?
Yes. Which I don't really care. I mean, good for them. I approve on games getting launched on GOG. I like GOG's system and platform and all that. And more is always better. But I mean, I've never felt the need to purchase multiple copies, and I've already got it on Steam. So I don't really. That's not really gonna affect me much. But yeah,
I mean,
I definitely like the.
I'll probably get the games on GOG depending on the situation. Because that non-DRM copy is supremely valuable.
Well, no,
at
now
least to me.
now the Steam copy is non-DRM too. But
Oh
I mean,
shit.
I guess it's not quite the same because you do get it in a packed executable with GOG. Although I think you can do that with, because that's what the game backup feature will do with Steam, as long as there aren't any DRMs or anything. I think that's what that Steam function will do, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, because it just seems like if I can get that game like on like on its own little client without having to use the actual client, that'd be nice. Cause like, I got GOG, I got The Witcher on there, Witcher 3, but that's just because it was the cheapest key at the time.
Yeah.
There was that, and then after that it was Borderlands sells more copies on Steam than fucking Epic Games.
Yeah, what was the sales on Steam outweighed the projections, and it's like, you assholes, I could have told you that. I did tell you that from the very beginning, not like you'd listen to me, but like there were lots of people that were telling that this was gonna happen, and lo and behold, they're all right.
It sold like 3 or 4 million copies on Epic Games, and then on Steam it just went whoosh, 10 million. It's like, yo, what?
I told him this was gonna happen. Lots of people told him this was gonna happen. It's people don't like this shit, man.
Apparently Exodus sold better too on Steam as well.
I don't doubt it.
Which just shows that no one likes Epic. I shouldn't say no one likes it, but the people with functioning brains and not functioning brains. That sounds really mean. People who have integrity don't like Epic Games. So.
Or I mean, I don't even know if I go that far. I would just say there is a healthy population of people who refuse to purchase games on Epic due to whatever reason.
Well, from my understanding, even Steam bent the knee to China.
Well, that's okay. That's a little clickbaity, I think. Because it's not like they're.
I didn't watch the video. I just.
Yeah, I saw the video. I think his title was a little clickbaity, because it's not the same thing as. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of an example, and I can't. Like the big example would be like a movie that changes all versions of the movie so that it's China compliant, and that's not what happened. It's not like it's not like the American version of Steam is getting any of the new China enhancements or whatever the fuck you want to call them, but they are creating it's in alpha right now. They are creating a version of Steam for China that has all of the that has a bunch of features like restricting when you can play or how long you can play.
Well, maybe this will make it to where they can, like Steam will actually come down and say, okay, China, you play with China, and the rest of the world plays with the rest of the world.
And this is the thing, right? I don't like it. But for one thing, like I said, they are not changing the American anything. As far as I know, I've not heard anybody that has any evidence that says that Steam is changing anything to do with the American side of Steam to comply with the China stuff. And two, the other big thing is that regardless of all this, it's not quite the same as Epic and Tencent and shit like that, because Steam is not owned in part by Tencent, whereas Epic is and shit like that. Too. Yeah. So it's not like there's any danger of Steam. Steam doesn't have to report to the Chinese government like Epic does and shit like that. So. But
I honestly believe the whole Steam Epic thing. I mean, obviously, there's problems like people like was your gripe with Epic. But I think a lot of the problems like with Epic or anybody launching on the PC is that, and I don't really call them fanboys, but there's been so many. The Steam has been around for so long and has been the primary go-to thing that it's hard for people just to get up and walk away from that, because they built years of library.
Sure. In
the Steam, and I think it's just something new. They just kind of like, if it's coming to my platform anyway, or who gives a shit. So they just kind of
years of library, like years of that plus just because Valve. I'm not saying Valve's perfect, because they aren't, but the trust that Valve has with like the customers is something that is, I think, something really impressive that a lot of other devs don't have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the same thing like with me. Obviously Xbox came along at the same time as PlayStation, or maybe a generation or two after or whatever. But still, around that same time. But I never went to Xbox because I was always just stayed with PlayStation. But then now trying to like switch over, even if Xbox made like the best system in the world, it would be hard for me to walk away from all the money and all the stuff I put in.
Sure.
Into PlayStation and all the time and effort I put in, like with my trophies and achievements as well too.
Right.
To walk away from that just to go to Xbox just because of something like a better system or whatever, or like if there was a better platform, like say if Epic was actually better than Steam, I still say that people would still stick with Steam just because that's where their time and effort and energy has been spent. So
Yeah, a lot of them would.
You have like, you have all their features there, because a lot of people like, who's gonna want to abandon? Like, the thing is, no one's gonna want to abandon their Steam library, and even if like, not
and obviously you
abandon,
don't
like,
have to truly,
wanna move it.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't have to actually abandon it, but still, I mean, nobody's going to want to go through all that trouble of launching like this browser or this, launcher for all your new games, and then go back if you want to play and launch the other one. They just want they knowing that all the games that are on Epic are going to come to Steam eventually. That even if Epic paid for the the exclusivity for so long, they can wait it out and then like say it's a year, 2 years, even if it's 5 years later, still add it to their existing library to where everything's in one place rather than.
Yep.
Because that's the thing is like even like Uncharted. That's the reason why these remasters sell so well. Is not so much that people are like, oh, I want to play that game again, but it's all the games in one location.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have to pull my PS3 out to go play Uncharted 1, 2, or 3 or something like that. It's I can just play it all on one system. I think that's the it kind of just shows like with the Steam and the Epic thing, and then also the remasters why they sell so well is because of the fact that people want it, like they want all their games on one system and they don't have to worry about launching another one or hooking another one up or whatever. They're just all right there in one place.
And also, Epic doesn't really have any unique feature, like how GOG has a unique feature, makes people use it. Like, all Epic is just basically a middleman trying to attack Steam by doing this exclusive shit that...
Well, you knew somebody was going to do it,
yeah, I'm sure someone's going to do it, but it doesn't make it
no,
any less shitty.
I'm just saying, I'm saying that somebody was going to attack Steam in this way. Steam has weathered
the storm.
One of the biggest giants in PC, the PC world with Microsoft, but obviously they didn't really have to do anything besides just go look at what they're doing. But they took on one of the big giants. Epic, sure, they have a lot of money, but the only thing really Epic can do is throw a lot of money to get exclusivity to get people to buy the games on launch day in their on their store. But at this point can they really take on Steam, or should they just coexist with Steam?
Because
I think they should be worrying more about coexisting rather than taking them on.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing with gaining exclusives, like what Epic's doing, gaining exclusives, doing that, like they already have like bad blood, but there's people who will just buy it regardless because they don't want to wait and all that stuff. But like as we've shown, like only 3 million people bought it on Steam, on Epic. And Randy was bragging about, like Randy Pitchford was talking about, we have more sales on Borderlands 3 than we had on Borderlands 2 on Steam. All of a sudden, Borderlands 3 comes out on Steam, bang, 10 million sales.
Yeah.
Like people, and Valve has like a certain trust in a certain community they know will stand by them, versus Epic that has basically no community that people they will stand by them. Like people, like it's rather they don't really care or they hate Epic games. There's no in between.
I just think that, like, taking on a giant is kind of like what Xbox did in the 360 days when they first came to the scene. They just were trying to get their name out there. They didn't sell that well, but then the 360 competed because they took on PlayStation by buying exclusive rights to games and exclusive DLC and first access and all this stuff like that, and they were taking on PlayStation. But then they let go of that and with the Xbox One and basically said, well, we're going to coexist in the exact same space. And that's really where Epic's going to have to go in order to maintain a healthy thing, because you're never going to get people to walk away from that. So you're going to have to learn how to coexist and try to garner new customers, not through exclusivity deals, but through innovation to your store and innovation to the way things are done.
Well, especially because their main selling point, besides the exclusivity, was a lie. I mean, because they kept saying, "Oh, well, we're not gonna take as big of a cut, and the games will be cheaper." And lo and behold, none of the games are cheaper.
No, the exact same price.
They're $60 at launch, just like Steam, and I don't see them doing any sales. They do sales, but their sales aren't any more amazing.
No, and even when they did sales on the newer games, like that you even had like 2K and all them like pulling their games from the store, saying no, like that, like or pulling the option for the sell thing, saying no, you're not touching my brand new game. So I mean, they still wanted that $60 price tag no matter what. So I mean, like I don't even know why they even said that because I don't know how they were going to be able to talk a publisher into selling their game cheaper through their store.
They think, oh, we'll just take less of a cut, so
Well, that just
I'll make
means
it
that
one.
I mean, you think a publisher is going to say, well, you know what? I can either make the same amount by lowering the price as I would on Steam by you taking less of a cut, or I could sell it for the exact same price and make a bigger cut.
Yep.
What do you think's going to happen? Like, no publisher is going to go, yeah, let's lower the price to $49.99. No. Like they're gonna be like, okay, if people are still dumb enough to buy it at $59.99, well then that's what they're gonna do. And I mean, you can't fault a publisher for that. I mean, shit.
I won't fault a publisher for that, but
I cannot
that
like
doesn't
it,
mean-
but yeah,
Yeah, I cannot like it. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you were in that position, I don't see any of us, giving away millions of dollars in money because that's basically what you'd be doing.
Yep.
and that's why I think ultimately the Steam's version of it will be, or Steam is more popular than Epic in that regard.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like,
I mean,
I'm
well,
su-
I mean, again, I mean, the Steam has had a gigantic head start when it comes to popularity.
and it's
Epic,
hard to.
if you're going to
break
take on
trust.
that, you're really going to have to like really just have some sort of huge innovation. And
Yeah, and also
at this point,
everyone-
I just don't know what kind of innovation you could have that Steam hasn't thought of.
and also in terms of like people talk about the PS3 generation, like in the end, PlayStation ended up breaking even, or I think did sell more break even with Xbox.
Okay. No, they beat the 360 in the end. I mean,
Yeah,
even
that's
through
the
all of
thing.
Microsoft trying to pay their way through to to beat them, they still ended up losing in the end. I mean, but they still made a name for themselves, which I don't really fault Microsoft for doing that because they had to pull people away somehow.
Right.
But now, what I do like about it is that Microsoft have given up on that. Like they said that, all right, we have our customer base now. Now let's focus on just coexisting and creating a platform for everybody.
But I don't think
Then
Epic can.
Epic's gonna have to do
though.
that though.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't think they're just capable of that because
They might not. I mean, with the amount of money they're making from Fortnite, I don't see that going away from them.
Yeah, that's the
for a
thing.
while.
They can held out on this for a long time with
Yeah.
that Fortnite money. So
Oh God,
And
yeah.
and
They
also
can weather the storm.
they certainly can, but obviously Fortnite will just Fortnite. People say Fortnite is going to depopularize. No, Fortnite is just normalizing like how Minecraft normalized.
no,
yeah.
it'll eventually die because it happens with everything. But
But I would
it's
still-
gonna
I
take
mean,
a long ass
I
time.
would say Minecraft has died, but at the same time is there's still a cult following that plays it religiously.
And being about it is Minecraft is just
And
normalized. It's more. It's
Minecraft
like it's
used to be
normalized.
more of a Minecraft started out as more of a niche audience, and then became mainstream, and then it's kind of stuck now in a weird way, like you said, more normalized. And people still spend a ton of money on, or not really money on Minecraft because you don't have to pay for the mods on PC, or do you now?
No,
Now that Microsoft has it.
no, I mean, you can buy skins through the Windows thing. But
Here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. There's a big difference between a game like Minecraft's having staying power and a game like Fortnite's having staying
Well,
power.
yeah, because I mean, you have to have people continually logging in and playing online together because you can't play Minecraft or Fortnite by yourself.
Not just that, but it costs money to keep up to maintain all that Fortnite servers. Whereas you
True.
don't really
And
have to do that with Minecraft.
And you do have to keep, even though, Fortnite, is a shooter, like it's an online, everybody's jumping on. You still have to keep the content fresh, or like the maps, being different. So there's still going to be a lot of work going into Fortnite for a while. Something is going to have to be, it'll eventually end up being a cost-benefit ratio that Epic has to come across whether or not it's feasible for them to keep up with it, or just say, hey, this is what you got, and enjoy.
Yep.
Because
And
online shooters only last for so long.
Yeah, even the longest staying ones,
Yeah.
you can only keep the servers up for so long before it just doesn't. It's not cost feasible. Counter-Strike Source will eventually die. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
yeah, I mean, sure. Like, I would say maybe those servers will become more just like you can have your own servers and like, than it dying, I guess.
Well, that's
Maybe they could just move it more to the or move it to like a PC area to where you could like pay for like a server, and then you get to like basically make it a Minecraft world type thing where you get to create your own little map, and then
see. That's what I
invite all your
wish
friends
all
to
of
come
these
play on it.
multiplayers would do. As soon as the publisher or whatever drops the game, I wish they would just open it up for homebrew servers. I really wish that would be the standard operating procedure for an online multiplayer shooter.
It would really be interesting to see what the community would come up with as far as map wise.
Other than that, just keeping the game alive.
Oh, it would
And it's
definitely
no
keep it
cost
alive,
to
but,
them.
yeah.
It's not like they care if they're not upkeeping the servers anymore. Then
I think the
they're not
reason
going
why
to be
that they
selling
worry
things.
I think the reason why they worry about it is because in the event that they ever do want to come out with, say, like a Fortnite 2 or whatever,
People would just
that
say,
if
"No, I'm
you-
just going to keep playing my
well,
Fortnite."
that or if you created like some lewd images in Fortnite, and that the press picked up on that, like those weird things, it could put a bad taste off of, especially if it became anywhere in the news where a parent would see it.
Sure.
And then maybe because a parent would associate, Fortnite 2 with that thing that they saw about Fortnite
Right.
and that would taint the future buyers of that IP. So I think that might be the reason, because I know a lot of people, publishers, don't like anybody screwing like the mods or like making, like, say, Red Dead on that one engine. They don't like that because if you do screw something up, you've tainted like a lot of potential fewer buyers, because that's all they'll associate with when they hear Red Dead.
Sure.
I may not agree with the premise of it, but I think that might be the reason, because you might be screwing up a possible future IP for them.
Yeah. True that.
And as you see, I mean, even years and years and years and years later, I mean, a dead IP will come back and be reborn again. So,
Come on, Battlefield 2143.
yeah.
Come on, you idiot fucks.
How many times have like old games that supposedly died just come out of the blue back from the dead?
It's happened a lot more often than you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially like you're looking at through the lens of because you get on you started out when like Deus Ex 3 had just been released and shit like that. You don't understand that like the distance between both Deus Ex 1 and 2 was horrendously long, but the distance between 2 and 3 was even longer. And there's a bunch of games like that where it was a decade in between the original game and a sequel.
Where you basically thought that the hopes of a sequel were never happening. And then when you see it, it's like, oh shit, like wait, and then all of a sudden you have like a renewed interest in that IP. And I think if you allow just unfettered access for people to create whatever they want within that IP, it'd be great for consumers, or great for the community. But I think it would definitely runs the risk of hurting the brand of like relaunching and having that same fan appeal.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, one of the things that like, I don't know, I mean, maybe the idea of game sequels being kind of guaranteed has its merits. Like, it's definitely good, but also there's some areas where it's like, but there's also sometimes where it's like, are you sure you really want a sequel? And times where the sequel is just really bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. I think The Last of Us 2 was one of those things where the game sold well, so well that you kind of almost knew there was, but there was no talk of it. And so whenever you heard The Last of Us 2 coming, you were like, "Oh shit, yeah." I mean, I want to know the rest of the story. Obviously, with the leaks and stuff, everything's different. But
Everything had changed,
but I mean, but still, I mean, everybody was kind of like, I kind of thought they might do one, but I still wasn't sure because the way the story ended, it could have just ended.
Sure.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of companies that go back and do that or wait so long between them that when they come out, it feels almost like a brand new game.
yeah, which I kind of prefer that than a quick sequel that comes out.
Oh, me too.
Oh yeah,
I can't stand like a sequel that like a game comes out and you're like, you just finished playing it and all of a sudden, they're talking about a sequel coming out in the next year. You're like, what the hell? Like you don't like it's almost like your life is gonna just revolve around that one IP rather than
you see this
give it
with
time to breathe. let it
Call of Duty
marinate.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like I'm like not like clears in Call of Duty, like new ones like is pretty good. But I mean to me the whole idea that we're gonna get a new Call of Duty with after this one is just it kind of feels weird because this one feels like it's made for it to last longer and
The way-
be like for years.
Yeah,
and
the way
years.
the way they're doing it, it seems like this was built to be more of a Overwatch type thing or to where they could keep it going for a while.
Yep.
And maybe they might. You never know. I mean, have you heard for sure that we're getting one this year?
But yeah, it's been.
I don't know
confirmed that we're gonna get a sequel.
A sequel is confirmed. I don't think we
Sorry,
have
not sequel,
we don't have a
reimagining
date
of
or
Black
anything.
Ops. It's
that's
a
the thing, is like
reimagining of Black Ops.
It might. Well, that might. Oh, okay. Well, then Treyarch. Okay, but that's going to be tough because that means you're going to have Treyarch and Infinity Ward and everybody trying to compete with each other. That's the one thing I hated about Call of Duty is that I love getting a continuation of the story or whatever that, but if you got hooked into like the multiplayer, it was basically like you only play it for a year and then you got to
And then
move
the
on
next
to the next
one.
one. If you
Yep.
yeah, I mean because it's when it seems like Call of Duty could come out with a new story mode, like the campaign only, like they did with the Modern Warfare 2, and just leave the main Modern Warfare that they created.
Right. Leave the multiplayer for like
the-
5 years and just keep releasing
Yeah.
DLC packs of a new storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or if they wanted Infinity, or if they wanted like Treyarch to do something, let them just create Black Ops, 5 campaign mode or whatever. But then everybody kind of share the all of the three
Multiplayer.
studios kind of share the wealth of the multiplayer of the, or even Treyarch could even add maps to the Modern Warfare multiplayer area, so that way they could still get some revenue from their maps. It seems like that would be a better fit than creating a new multiplayer game basically every year.
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like, this Call of Duty was certainly good, no doubt about it. But I don't know if I want to get the new one because I really like this one. I'm not sure if I want to move from it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think I will. I think I'm going to be playing Modern
I-
Warfare for as long as it's still around and has people on
I think you're gonna have. I think you're gonna have a lot of that because I hear a lot of people talking about this Modern Warfare being the one that Call of Duty should have been for a while.
Yeah,
And
it is.
also, the big kicker is Warzone, by the way. Like, you already have an insanely popular BR mode that you're just gonna scrap and get rid of.
See,
for a
that makes
new
no
game.
sense to me. Like, that's what makes no sense to me is if you're gonna do like a battle royale, how are you gonna do battle royale every year? Like a new
Right.
one. Like the
Yeah.
whole purpose of battle royale is to continue adding to the one you have
Because they
and
struck
keeping
lightning.
that one alive.
Because of this BR, they got lightning, and now it's one of those played BRs ever. You're gonna tell all those people they have to move over to the new game if they want new content.
Well,
also,
they're not going
Yep.
to because I mean, look how much money look how much money is dumped into a battle royale. I mean, that's where their money, like the microtransactions, are where they make money at in the battle royale. So it would be hard pressed for like you to spend all that money on all these different skins and all the stuff just to jump to another one to start all over again to do everything all over. So that's the reason why I think that there might be something with maybe we might get a new Call of Duty, but it might be just the single player and then them adding stuff to.
Or even if they have a
Warzone,
multiplayer,
and-
it doesn't have a war zone, and the war zone is
Yeah.
still a standalone. I could see that.
Yeah, and everybody, all the team,
Yeah.
maybe all the teams will dump into the war zone, like
Sure.
their maps or their ideas into it, and leave the multiplayer for the competitive portion of it.
Yeah,
As
I can
far as
see
like
that,
the
and I
the
don't
esports.
exactly like it, but it's a compromise. It
It's
works.
better than them. It's better. Well, it's better than them creating a new battle royale every damn
Right.
year.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've heard
That makes
that.
no
where
sense at
they're gonna-
all.
I've heard that's what they're gonna do. Like that's why
Oh,
I've
that
heard.
would make no sense at all, man.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work
Yeah,
out
but
if they do that.
The problem is Call of Duty's used to coming out every year.
But you know how quickly Fortnite would have died if they said if the second season of Fortnite you had to buy a whole new game.
Yeah, I mean,
It's true.
It would have died out the second season.
certainly would. That's what I was worried about this. That's why I was worried about this Call of Duty because it's like, man, I'm just. Are we gonna lose it after? Like, because I know you're not forced to buy the games, by the way. No, you're not forced to buy the games, but
obviously.
it still hurts to like have everything resetted for
Well,
your
yeah.
multiplayer game. It still hurts.
That it hurt after like from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2 because Destiny 1 was meant to be a lasting game.
Right.
And then all of a sudden Destiny 2 came out and we were like, okay, cool. But they said, oh, nothing carries over. You're like, what?
I mean, that's
Why did I dump?
happened.
Why did I dump half my life into this one game, just for you to tell me all that time was wasted for nothing? But you can make whatever your character looks like, it'll carry over. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like
I mean,
that's
the ultimate trifecta with multiplayer games like that is like,
Yep.
it's like if you can't exactly do a sequel and make you lose everything. At
No,
least
they
that's
did.
my
To me, they
opinion
did that wrong. And then they brought back all the stuff from Destiny 1, but they brought it back to where you had to like grind for it. And I'm like, that ain't even right because like you grinded your ass off for it the first time.
I'm using more
Like-
Call of Duty as an example though, because it's like
Yeah,
how.
but I mean, Call of
right,
Duty. I don't see how Call of Duty could even think about bringing out another VR game because it just wouldn't make sense at all.
like Blackout was last year. They can easily do not last year or the year before. Sorry. Then there was this one like Warzone. They could
Right,
easily do
but-
like another Blackout or Warzone 2 or some stupid shit like that.
I don't think that they'll do that, but because I think that the Blackout was, I think their attempt at it, and then they saw they saw the good parts and the bad parts, and I think Warzone was really what is the culmination of everything that went wrong with Blackout and everything else like that. And I think
Warzone- Really good though.
I think that I know, but I think they've created something now to where they're going to build on it rather than just scrapping it for another one next year or this year or whatever. It would make no sense to do that,
I hope so because
especially with the high remark that Warzone has gotten.
I hope so, but the problem is they always do sequels to Call of Duties every year,
Yeah,
which is
I
an
mean, but
old backwards
again,
model. That's
they could still do a sequel to Call of Duty, but not do a BR mode.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
even just for multiplayer though. I would still hate it because it's like this one felt like it was made to be long lasting, versus like some of the other Call of Duties, and now we got you got a
how do you-
sequel.
okay. No, wait a minute. How is this one like the multiplayer mode, not the battle royale? Because I mean, obviously, battle royale's more long lasting. But how is this
with
multiplayer?
the season passes and shit?
With the season passes and all the all the microtransactions, because it
Okay,
isn't just
so whenever I see like the thing pop up like on my PlayStation where like all of a sudden like Modern Warfare's logo changed to Season 1, Season 2, that's not the battle royale portion. That's actually
No, that's the multiplayer. Yeah, that's
That's
new.
Okay, so yeah, so then that
new-
means that's a whole new thing then if they're doing that because they are portraying it to be like a Fortnite,
Yes.
even though it's not a battle royale, they're still treating it like one.
Yes.
they're treating it like
So-
a seasonal game, and you can't
Yeah.
exactly.
Or like a Rainbow Six Siege. They're
Yes.
treating it like a siege.
Yes.
And a game like a seasonal game like Call, like maybe they're like, I'm not saying there should never be a sequel to Call of Duty, by the way. Like maybe but we haven't had a lot of time with this one versus like any other versus like let's say if this was like 5 or 6 years into the game's life cycle. Oh sure, a sequel maybe, but not a
I
sequel.
still say they could make a
year.
they could probably make a ton of money by honing everything in on the multiplayer Modern Warfare and fine tuning that one to to be long lasting, and then just putting out a $30 game for the people that want the
Single player.
campaign.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would split off Warzone and the multiplayer and have those be a separate thing. The Warzone could be free to play, the multiplayer could be like $15-20, whatever, and then have the campaign be a completely separate things to those altogether. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it just seems like a more of the appropriate, like how they came out with that Modern Warfare 2 remaster for like what, $29.99.
Yeah.
They can make a ton of money off just putting out those every year.
Yep.
And then all the different teams working on adding maps or adding
Sure.
like maybe season 4 is Treyarch and season 5 is Infinity Ward, and see, you know what?
Yeah.
They could.
That would probably be the in my opinion, that'd probably be the perfect way to keep a long-standing thing like Call of Duty going, while also not alienating your player base by saying, no,
Yeah.
now we're not, you got to get a new $60 game if you want to keep playing the multiplayer.
And that's the thing with Modern Warfare. They made it like a big deal about they didn't want to alienate fan bases. They didn't want to alienate the player base to where like the haves and the have-nots, and it's going to be hard to see them do that. It's going to be hard to see them if they just stop that content on that Modern Warfare and move to, say, Black Ops 7.
Like that's why,
just-
for example, Overwatch 2 is under high waters now, or under like scrutiny by players.
Yeah.
Because Overwatch is a game that like doesn't need a sequel, or at least not a sequel. Like, if it's just a PvE Overwatch, that's fine. But they're talking about it being like a sequel to Overwatch, which that's a different matter entirely.
Well, it can still be a sequel, and they can still do it. But I mean, I don't.
Like, all your stuff transfers over, but it's like at that point, why have to
But
pay
then you
for
have
a
to
whole
turn.
game?
Yeah, but then you'd have to turn around. I mean, they would have to definitely put some sort of like huge discount on previous owners to make it to where it's like a microtransaction to them rather than buying a whole new game, because that would not be fair to
I think
the players
Overwatch-
that have stuck with Overwatch forever. And I'm like you. I don't think Overwatch actually needs a sequel. They just need more content.
Well, this is kind of this is the rub, right? Because if you want a long-standing esports title, then it's got to be a long-standing game, and you can't keep throwing out updates, because then
An expansion is different than, like, I think Overwatch 2 should have been an expansion, not an actual quote unquote sequel.
Yeah.
Alright,
all right, it doesn't matter. One last thing because we're coming up on 3 hours. So Trump's new executive order. You guys heard about this?
Yeah.
Man, I love it. Because he's basically saying what.
Coming.
Oh yeah, he's basically saying the same thing that so many YouTubers, Twitter users, Facebook users have been saying this whole time. It's like, we don't care which one I mean, obviously we care, but it's like, for real, you got to pick whether you want to be a publisher or a platform, because you can't keep claiming that you're a platform while making editorial decisions and expecting the protections of a platform while you're being a publisher. And that's basically, I mean, I watched Steven Crowder's thing on it and a few others, and that's basically what he outlined. It's like, you guys are making editorial decisions, you're shadow banning, you're removing people, you're demonetizing, you're doing all these things, and then you want to claim the protections of a neutral platform, and that's not going to fly. So this is fucking amazing, and I hope some shit comes out of this, because yeah, they can't keep doing business like they're doing.
And here's the thing, Facebook's actually improving. Twitter's the one that's getting worse.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Twitter's, well, and YouTube too. YouTube, I think, is the worst out of all of them.
yeah.
No, I big disagree.
Well-
I disagree with that immensely. YouTube being the worst one. I think Twitter is the way worse than YouTube.
Twitter, I mean, as far as like what, being openly biased?
The
Or
openly
openly a
biased,
publisher?
the openly biased, the shadow banning. I think it's way worse.
I'll,
on
I'll,
Twitter
man,
no,
than
no.
YouTube.
Here's the
I don't
thing,
know,
right?
I mean,
Twitter might be worse at the actual implementation of things like shadow banning and all that, but the thing is that nobody relies on Twitter as their business model, whereas they do rely on YouTube as their business model. So I think that it's worse for YouTube because so many people are reliant on YouTube as their business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So when
And
Twitter shadow bans like Sargon of Akkad, it's not like people can't go to YouTube or whatever and find Sargon of Akkad. But if Sargon of Akkad was kicked off of YouTube, man, that'd be a huge fucking blow to him and his business. So
yeah, I think the reason why I could say YouTube is worse is because they courted people over to their platform with the promise of free speech and you can build your platform here, you can build a business, and then now that they've gotten that thing and they've gotten the dependency on these people and they've made their money, now they're trying to go back and renege on all these agreements that they made or these things. So I think I think YouTube is definitely more of a shitty person, a shitty company because of that, than what Twitter is. Because Twitter was just basically here talk, and now they're just they're picking a side, obviously. But it's not like you can make money off of Twitter. I mean, I guess you can, but there's not a whole. They didn't come to you and say, hey, come to our platform, and talk about your business, whatever, and you can make money, and then we're gonna take it away from you. But YouTube did, so I would say that would be where YouTube would be worse, is because they were like, hey, the grass is greener here. Obviously, there was no their alternative, but then now all of a sudden they're like, well, now we're gonna kill the grass, and I see that more of being an underhanded and slimy tactic than just Twitter picking a side.
Yeah.
And they definitely picked a side because they have changed their official Twitter. Twitter has a Twitter, which is really weird.
That's just funny more than anything else, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can go to @Twitter, and Twitter has a Twitter. So, but their bio just reads Black Lives Matter. So they definitely have picked a side in what they've done with the president. So, and I just don't know why you want to poke the bear.
right.
Like,
I mean,
I get that you should have stuck with shadow banning and being shadow, in the shadows, because now you've got all the Republican lawmakers coming after you.
You got the eyes of
And
Sauron.
there is actually one thing that I think is going to really hurt Twitter in the end, is that they're allowing the Iranian government, they're allowing the Iranian government to have a Twitter account. Because under Iranian sanctions, no U.S. based company is allowed to do business or provide any goods or services to anybody in the Iranian regime. And so they are breaking U.S. sanction law, and they know it. But Twitter's vagina, whatever her name is, she wrote back to them and said, oh, well, we know, we respect it, but we feel that, having leaders on there is an important,
They consider
important.
themselves
But I'm
above the law. That's they
Yeah, I'm
literally
like, what-
respond to they
what?
consider themselves above the law. It's like, what? That's
yeah,
not
they're
how the
like,
force
we
works.
know there's a law, but we just think we're more important than that. So, thank you though. Thank you for your concern. I think if they could get the DOJ to actually go after them, I think that
They are,
Twitter.
though. The guns are getting turned on them.
But will they though? I mean, like you saw all the shit that happened with the Russia scandal and all the abuses of, and Comey still walks free, Clapper still walks free, Brennan still walks free. Like I don't see them going after Twitter. I mean, I see them talking a lot of game, but I don't really see them going after Twitter. Now, maybe
I do see them making them forcing them to pick, and that will be
think that
going after them enough. Like they don't need to actually go after them, because here's the thing: none of these core entities, YouTube, Google.
Are you saying just make them show their cards?
Yes, because here's the thing, right? The only reason these entities have been able to survive thus far is because they have the protections of a platform. Because if they were not subject to those protections, any libel or anything like that, they could be sued for. And
yeah, but then I realize that people are complaining, like going, no, don't take Section 230 away, because then Twitter will just ban more people. But I'm like going, that right there would cause the ability for somebody. Well, no, I'm just saying that would allow the ability for like a platform like Gab or something else to actually take off. That would actually be a platform.
Yeah.
Well,
have the
it's
main
like I said,
It would
platform,
allow for a viable competitor.
it's one or the other, though. This is the thing. If you want the protections of being a platform, if you want the protections under Section 230A, then you have to be neutral. If you don't want to be neutral, that's fine. But then you're not under the protections of 230A, which means if somebody posts something libelous and you don't take care of it, then you, Twitter or YouTube or whatever, can be sued for that libel. And that's what I think will. Like I said, the Republicans or whoever, they don't actually have to go after Twitter. People will go if Twitter decides that they want to keep censoring and all that. Fair enough, but then that means that anytime anybody does something that could be considered libelous or whatever, or calls for violence, like all these calls for violence from AOC and all these other people, they can be sued for that. And people will. And so they're not going to have to go after them. That's why I like this move. It's all they have to do is make them pick. You can either be a platform or a publisher, but you have to pick one. And if you pick publisher because you want to keep shadow banning people or whatever, you want to curate the content that's on your site, fine, fair enough. But that means you're responsible for what's on your site. And I don't think one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to pick platform and they're going to knock all this shit off, or if they don't, they'll get sued for it. Or they want to be a publisher and they want to curate their content. But if they do that, there's too much content to curate, and they're going to start getting into trouble with some of these either calls for violence or libelous claims or anything like this, and it will then force them to be a platform basically, because they're not going to have the resources.
To me,
they would have to create a really broad stroke algorithm in order to stay protected under being a publisher.
Yeah, which will ultimately destroy their platform.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean they'll either destroy themselves. I mean, basically, if they just openly started banning conservatives, like all outright, like without sort of like, well, this person did this wrong or whatever, and try to give an excuse and just said, screw it, this is the way we feel. You would kill their platform anyway, because if they banned Donald Trump, it would kill him.
Yeah, this will lead to it. It either ends with their destruction or with them forcing to become a platform, and that's what everybody wants. So,
yeah,
I'm happy with it.
There's no point. There's absolutely no point in
so
with Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of them having the block function, the mute function, all these different things, or you can lock your account to just your followers only. All these different things to protect yourself and insulate yourself from mean words. There's absolutely no reason why they should be banning anybody for saying anything besides breaking U.S. code law.
I just think Facebook's actually kind of getting better at it because of Jack Dorsey.
They're really not though. No, they're really not. No, that's just no. That's just him virtue signaling, because the same day they still have kicked PragerU off their platform completely.
Yeah, but with this whole call to question, I think I know what Mark Zuckerberg's going to pick.
I don't. I think he's enjoying the focus. I think he's enjoying that the focus is on Jack instead of him, because he's been in hot water already. I think he's just relishing in the idea and wanting to keep the focus over there.
I disagree, but I guarantee if the question comes to your platform publisher, he's going to choose a platform. There's no way, because I think Facebook's one of the biggest. Is Facebook the biggest social media or one of the biggest?
I think Facebook is the biggest one, but I think Facebook is the most dangerous one, because Facebook is what radicalizes people. Not Twitter, not YouTube. Facebook does, because Facebook has knowingly wrote an algorithm that feeds you content that you
from the groups and individuals that agree with you and all that.
See. Yeah, it creates the monolith, and they just keep. I mean, if you're getting fake news, like CNN and MSNBC is openly lying, and they're openly omitting things, and they're not being fact checked or anything like that, but you're just constantly being fed orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. What do you think's going to happen? You're going to see exactly what's happening right now in America, and they're more deceptive, I guess, with that, because they know that it's there, but
they're going to have to choose. So
but they make their money off of watch time, so or I guess screen time, and so they're going to get rid of all the bad actors that they can, that they could possibly bend the rules to where they say this person did this. But I don't know. I think Facebook is still as censorious as Twitter is. They just haven't poked the bear. The only reason Twitter is in the hot water they're in is because they went after the top dog. If they had just left well enough alone and stuck with the lower end conservatives and lower end people, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Yeah,
It would be the
Sure.
exact, it'd be
But I think you're being too pessimistic when it comes to Facebook. Twitter, you can see them choosing a publisher and them collapsing on themselves. Like, you can see Twitter doing that versus Facebook. Because for Facebook,
I think Jack's actually get from
'cause
seeing
no-
Jack and Joe Rogan podcast. It seemed
Yeah,
like he was
but-
wore out from being the CEO of Twitter.
the
It
thing
seems like
is,
he was-
Jack
he's done
Dorsey
with
has Tim Pool talks all the time, but Jack is he's a nice guy, but he's not running Twitter anymore. It's basically Twitter's not under his control. It's that remember
Oh,
that,
it's by
that-
Vagina. It's Vagina Girl.
remember that one- the-
Whatever her name is. I don't
that
know what
one
the hell her
lawyer,
name is.
that one girl that was with Jack Dorsey.
Right,
Oh, the
with
Joe
Her
Rogan
name's like
podcast?
Vajay or something like that, but I always call her Vagina because I can't understand like how.
Yeah,
say her name.
she's running Twitter, and
Yeah.
she'll. And I think she's more like I know Jack Dorsey.
She has a
I'm not gonna-
political act. She has a political axe to grind. I don't think Jack Dorsey really gives one shit one way or the other.
Yeah, I think Jack's he's just a peaceful. I think he's just more of a hipster versus her, where she's an actual like ideologue at her heart.
When Jack had Twitter in the very beginning, without all the lawyers and the activists getting into all this shit, it was a free for all,
right.
and everybody enjoyed Twitter. That's what created Twitter as we know it.
Yeah.
And now that the lawyers have stepped in and the activists that are in the lawyer position, and even the people that are head over the people that are the trust and safety are openly anti-Trump and Orange Man bad people. They've been infiltrated, and I think he's just given up. I think he's walked away, and
yeah,
I don't think he gives a shit one way or the other. I don't think he gives a shit one way or the other if it crashes and burns or not. He's made his money. I think the way he looked on Joe Rogan podcast made me feel like that he was just tuned out. Like
Yeah,
I just
like, it was
don't.
more
I don't
the-
know.
that
I
one-
don't care.
that one lady's the one running Twitter, not him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Which I
every
think-
question he deferred to her.
I think she's more. I think she's more like, as you said, ideological. Like she has.
Oh
an
yeah,
axe to grind.
she definitely is an ideologue. Yeah.
Like, and you can definitely see that I think, like, I think Mark Zuckerberg is less of an ideologue than people say he is. I
It's
Yeah, I
hard.
think-
It's hard to tell with him, man.
It's hard to tell with him because he's such a fucking alien.
I know, right?
The man is like the man.
It's so cute when they
damn,
when they pretend to be human, isn't it?
Yeah, so
No, but I
so
think
looking
if
at
it
him
comes-
freaks me out. Like
Right.
it's one of those robots that they've brought to life and almost made to look human. Like he freaks me out.
No, but I think with Mark Zuckerberg, I think he's gonna want to just protect Facebook in the end. So he's gonna probably choose the platform and not deal with the baggage. Because in the end, these people like AOC or whatever going after him, saying like, "Oh, he's not doing what we want." In the end, that's not gonna matter if he just says, "Oh, Facebook's a platform. I'm gonna make my money. Fuck you." That's it.
Could be.
I hope so. I hope you're right because I would like to see Facebook get back to
Because I
what
think
Facebook used to be.
I think Facebook's less I know you may disagree with this, but I think Facebook's less ideological.
It's just I don't. It's not
when it
that I.
comes to-
It's not that I agree. They're definitely ideological when it comes to bannings.
for sure, but I mean
but
less
when it comes
ideological
to-
to Twitter.
It just all matters how much because I mean you can see how much influence Jack has over Twitter, but it all depends on how much influence Zuckerberg actually still has over Facebook, or if he's
think
just turned it
Zuckerberg
over to
has-
other people.
I think Zuckerberg has still immense
If he still cares about it, if he still cares about his platform, then yes. But I mean,
I think
he's rich beyond all his wildest dreams. I mean,
I think he still cares.
Facebook could die tomorrow, and he'd be perfectly fine.
I think he's still. I know. I'm defending Mark Zuckerberg. I know someone might get mad at me, but I think
he
still
might.
cares.
He might.
I think he ultimately still cares.
I just think that he plays into who's ever in front of him.
For sure. Like there is definitely.
I think that if you had him on Fox News, he would be like, "Oh, I'm pro free speech. I'm pro this. I'm pro that." You put him on CNN, and he's like, "Well, yeah, that's a problem, and we need to take care of it." Like he's already them already coming down heavy handed on anybody who's not agreeing with the WHO. Is some sort of bad person, then I have no faith in any of these platforms,
More faith than
behaving like a
Zuckerberg
platform.
than Jack Dorsey. I think Twitter and Jack Dorsey. I think they're done. I think he's just at this point. Like you even mentioned him on the podcast. His mention when it comes to Twitter, he just doesn't not give a fuck.
No, his demeanor was just like, I'm wore out, man. I'm done with this.
Yeah, because I think these people are. I think they're overwhelmed because I think they didn't realize what they created and how big their creations will become. It's kind of like the Frankenstein's monster.
I'm not even sure if it's that, because I don't. As a platform, you don't even have to worry about how big your thing has become.
Right.
The thing is, I think, is what has worn him out is the ideologues that have infiltrated his hiring.
Yeah.
And I think he might have hired somebody thinking, well, this would be a good fit, and then later on realized that person was putting on a front during the interview, and maybe just had a good resume, but then is trying to run it like an ideologue or an authoritarian type manner. And I think that's where the problem comes with Jack, is that he doesn't know what to do at this point, because he would have to fire a lot of his staff at the high level and start all over from there.
I don't think Jack has a backbone in the end.
I just don't think Jack really cares at this point. I think he thinks it's gone too far, and he's just like, okay, whatever.
Well, all right, guys. I think that's it for today. I'm getting a little tired. We're at 3 hours.
I like how we avoid YouTube this entire conversation.
Well, YouTube can go fuck
we all
themselves.
we all know about YouTube, so.
Yeah, but I think I don't know. I think if they choose platform, then he's gonna get canned. Like they're gonna can her ass out.
Hopefully.
I think they're on the way to canning everybody. I mean, they are moving towards just becoming a streaming service rather than they are like independent creators. I don't think they really care for independent creators.
Which is ironic, because that's what built their business model.
That's what built them. Yeah. That's what. Like I said, they said, here's the green pasture, have at it. Now they said, well, now we're gonna mow that grass, and you ain't getting any more of it. So.
Yeah, but all right, everybody.
Very people.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see y'all next week. Probably night owl sometime here soon. But if not, see y'all later. Peace.
See you.